something's different.
I am changing.
I don't know if I like who I'm becoming.
Boyd, there are a lot of people wanting to know what happened down there.
Where's Dad? Why isn't he back yet?
Tabitha.
We need to talk.
It means everything they showed us. It's real. I think they're doing it to make us afraid.
Well, then it worked. There is something ancient here. And it's feeding off our suffering, and it doesn't stop.
We're losing. We're running out of time, and we still don't know the goddamn rules. There is no way to fight back against those things. Everything we've done, every sacrifice we've made, none of us are going anywhere.
You think you're some kind of hero? You're a monster.
Lord, please protect us in this dark place where evil roams so freely. This we ask in your name. Amen.
One way or another, the truth always comes out.
I would make sure it doesn't.
Okay, ding dongs. If you don't subscribe to Jeremy Eyes and Fire, you're gonna spend the night in the box.
And welcome all to the episode 8 after show discussion. And this was a very, very interesting episode, to say the least. They threw quite a lot at us, a lot of very interesting scenes, a lot of interesting reveals, too, as well. Definitely some good new information, some long theories that we've been discussing for a long time, confirmed, that a lot of you guys have been discussing, the fandom as a whole, this was a good one. Again, I wasn't expecting a super fast-paced episode after episode 7 was like super intense. I was expecting this to kind of be the pace of this episode, but I was also hoping that we were going to get some good kind of plot progression, and we definitely 100% did, and some really good character development and a really good look into the insight of, some characters, including Victor, Boyd, Tabitha. A lot of characters came to some revelations in this episode. This was an interesting one. Definitely a lot to unpack there. Oh, you're on mute.
This was a great episode. I'm gonna watch it like a billion times.
It
was one for the books. It's it has so many lines that slowly are telling us the story. We just need to pay attention. But so much happens that you kind of lose track of those little lines of dialogue. But yes, guys, the chat is loving the Tin Witch Hat.
Yes.
Tin Witch Hat, because, we're going to get crazy. So we need the tin foil, right? But it's witches. These are astro necromancers, hermetic astro necromancers. So they're witches. So we need a hat. We are in witch territory, hermetic witch territory.
If we're into witch territory, you need a witch hat, a tinfoil witch hat, nonetheless. And who better to don that witch hat than PM? No way. And yes, we got a nice Man in Yellow cameo in this episode, which was super refreshing to see. And we're definitely going to get into that and everything else as well. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, this was a good episode. This was a really good episode. I like a lot of the things that we got, a lot of the reveals that we got. It's heading into some very interesting directions. And we want to hear from you guys as well. What did you think of episode 8? What were some of your favorite scenes? What were some of the standouts? What were some of your least favorite scenes? Did you like the episode? Did you not like the episode? Let us know throughout the night, guys. Let's see who we got in this chat, shall we? And then we will dive right into this thing because again, there's a lot in this episode. We're probably gonna have to be breaking this one down throughout the week, all week, because there's a lot to unpack. Yeah, Boyd is torn but resolute. I mean, Boyd is going through some very interesting things, and yeah, he's going through it. He's going through it, but I think he, like some other characters in this episode, which seemed to be a theme in this episode, where certain characters came to certain revelations, things that they kind of finally realized that they needed to do. Tabitha, Boyd, it seemed to be happening throughout the episode. And again, there was some really, really good acting in this episode as well. Some really good acting. And we got to see Father Cautry as well, not just a Man in Yellow cameo, but we got a Father Cautry cameo as well. And I think Father Cautry cameos are always incredibly interesting to dissect.
Yes. I love Father Cautry. And, I hate to boast, but if you were here in the pre-show, we were talking about Boyd's dilemma. We know that Boyd has been tormented by Abby. He continues to be tormented by this one horrid thing that he has done that he cannot get over. And I theorized the way to get over it is mental. You must accept what you did.
Forgive himself,
It's stoicism. I don't practice religion. I would say I practice like the philosophy of stoicism, which is very simple. It is what it is. So when it comes to you being tormented by something that you have done, you must accept it. You must accept, I have done this. I can't change it. There's nothing I can do about it. I must move forward. If you do not accept things that you cannot change, you will be forever tormented. And so that's why, that's why I thought that for Boyd, the way to get over this is to mentally accept that he killed Abby. He killed her a long time ago, but he is so tormented that he cannot accept it. So that is how he's going to be able to make it through. If I was Boyd, next time I see Abby, because he keeps seeing her, right? Like we saw all of our characters, the main characters, which was kind of crazy, seeing them like dead.
Just all laid out like that,
yeah. We see all of our main characters laying there, and then he sees Abby. And every time he sees Abby, he cannot muster up anything to say to her about what happened, the incident. If I was Boyd, next time I see her, I would just do what Father Cautry said, and I would say, Abby, I killed you, and I would do it again. You were not well, Abby. You were not well.
He's got to confront
it. And I bet you that ghost is never going to show up again. It's going to be like, what do you mean you killed me and you'll do it again? I cannot torment you with what you have done. So it loses its power, right?
Yeah. Because that's the thing. This is not really Abby that is showing itself to him. This is this place preying on one of the only really deep, dark fears that Boyd has. And one of the things that's always been very interesting is about this is, Boyd tormented himself about this ever since it first happened. And, he got to that point where, he finally reconciled with Ellis, because it wasn't just, yes, he needs to forgive himself as well. But he and Ellis were in a very bad spot. Like he finally got to that point, like a year later, where he and Ellis finally reconciled. But he never got to that point where he looked inside himself, where he forgave himself. And that was always something that he was going to have to confront. He was going to have to confront this and say, yes, I mean, it's okay to carry the guilt for it. It's okay to feel bad for what you've done, but it's also okay to know that you did the right thing. It's okay to confront it. And yeah, I mean, I can only imagine how tough that must be for Boyd to try and confront this, to try and even think about forgiving yourself for something like this. That must be super difficult for him to even contemplate. So you can kind of understand why it's taken him so long to even maybe recognize this is what he needs to do. So no, I love that it's, the psychological aspect of the show has always been one of the more intriguing ones. So no, I love what they're doing to Boyd. They continue to test him mentally, psychologically over and over and over again. And usually he kind of, rises to the occasion. So yeah, I mean, I guess this will be interesting to see, is he going to be able to forgive himself ultimately?
I mean, I think it's an interesting idea, and it depends on how you see it. for me, like I said, I do not practice religion, so the idea of forgiveness, of making good with, this like entity, whether it's God or you forgiving yourself, when it comes to things in life, sometimes you will do such horrible things, you will never forgive yourself for them. You
Yeah.
will not be able to.
You
And
can accept.
guess what? Guess what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because the fact remains that you did it. So you must accept that I have done this, full responsibility. Once
Yeah.
you
He has to come
accept
to
full
terms.
responsibility, you also accept life as it is. Don't fantasize about what it could have been. Just accept life as it is. I have killed you, Abby. I will never forgive myself for it. But you were not right, and I would do it again. Suddenly, Abby loses its power. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if Boyd is going to take him forever and he could never forgive himself. The fact
No, he has to
remains. The
confront it
facts
head
are
on.
what they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. He has to
Yeah.
confront it head on and accept it. Yeah. And in turn, in some way, yeah, find some kind of forgiveness if he can, or not. That's really up to Boyd. But yeah, he has to confront this, and he has to realize this is the choice that he made. Again, he reconciled with Ellis, but he never reconciled with himself. So maybe that's what he needs to do. Will that take away these Abby apparitions? Yeah, I think that could possibly happen. I mean, it seems like if this is only happening because it's preying on the fear and the guilt of what he did to Abby, if he can kind of confront that and accept it, then maybe this place can't use that against him anymore. So yeah, again, we got a lot of good character development for Boyd, for Victor, for Tabitha. And I know it wasn't. I knew it wasn't going to be a fast-paced episode, but it was a very well-packed informational episode. We got a ton of stuff in this episode, and quite a lot that points at a lot of interesting things. And I can't believe we only have 2 freaking episodes left now. That's it. 2 freaking episodes left now, guys. That's it. That is it. Why was the man in yellow so friendly with Tabitha? The man in yellow scene was very interesting. All right, let's dive into all of it, shall we? We got it up right here. We will go right from the beginning. Now, the first thing we really dive into, we see the aftermath of Roger, but the first real big kind of plot point in episode 8 is Fatima, and we get this reveal of these veins on her stomach. And not just the veins, and it's we get the specific feeling that she feels like there's something cold inside of her, almost that activated almost instantly when she was doing this thing with Smiley and saving Kenny. And of course, many have noticed these veins in particular very much look similar to the veins that monsters have. So I guess that is the question, the first question I guess we can have. Let me know what you guys think in the chat, and of course you as well, PM. When you saw this, I know it's naturally, the first thing you think is, yeah, maybe Fatima is turning into a monster. But then again, is it always that simple? No, but then again, sometimes it is that simple. And if it is this something that can be reversed? But when you saw this, did you think that there is any slight possibility that she could turn into a monster? Because I know you and I discussed the possibility of humans turning into monsters, and how, you kind of brought up the idea how if this was a curse, if this was a punishment that the monsters were received, then it would be, you would think that it wouldn't be easily replicated, that it wouldn't be something that could just happen to someone very easily. So what do you think? You think there's a possibility that Fatima could be turning into a monster here? Or could there be something totally different happening to here? Again, the kimono creature had these same veins as well. So it might not just be
Good
monsters.
spotting. Good spotting that, Jeremy. And yeah, and she's not part of our regular monsters, right? For this, I do not believe that she's turning into a monster. And the reason why I don't believe that she's turning into a monster is because if the bargain was eternal life, I cannot give it away to just
How can you
anybody when I want to
replicate it?
torture them. If I give it away, it loses its power. It loses the
It
bargain.
loses
I asked for
the
7 kids, and she has given me nothing. But I'm gonna make her a monster just to torment her. That makes no sense.
and
Now,
doesn't it
this is what
cheapen the severity of the punishment that the parents went through if this was a curse that was put on them, if this deal did
Yeah.
go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. But this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm thinking, guys. I think that, like I said, in this place, what we are seeing is hermetic astro necromancy. Necromancy, now we know it as rising the dead, or somebody's dead and you make them alive again. But in medieval times, necromancy was a umbrella word used for you talking to demons, engaging with demons, using demons, doing witchcraft. So, medieval necromancy. In medieval necromancy and Hermetic law, there are 7 principles. And the 6th principle of Hermetic law is cause and effect. So this is cause and effect. If you are going to do something that, like Fatima did, that takes over another person's body to the point where you could see through their eyes, that is you using this otherworldly power. You have to pay a price. There's a price for everything that you do. And so her doing that, this is the price that she pays. I don't necessarily believe that she's turning into a monster, but I do believe that her body is gonna have, take its toll on its body.
Mhm.
So the more that she does it, the more that her body is going to decay. So this is cause and effect. She did this is happening. I also thought that it was really interesting in writing. The writers are so creative because they thought, we can make her like Will. And I love this. I wish that they could have written for Stranger Things, because when it
It
comes
would've been
to
a little
Will,
better.
he
Would've
could
been
just
better.
do it and get stronger, right? But when
There
you do
needs
it
to be
like
a
this,
cost.
when
Yeah.
there is a cost to you using it,
Yes.
guess what? You're not going to use it all the time.
You
And
can't.
people around you are not going to ask you to use it because it's going to take a toll on you. And who knows what will happen physically to you.
Yeah.
Now,
And we
that is interesting. Not just
Mhm.
being able to use it and becoming, Vecna itself.
Exactly. Just this the all-powerful kind of being. And we've talked about this in the past, like, there needs to be a cost to these people using some of these abilities, and even with, Julie's case, in a sense, like, we see that she's having these seizures every time she story walks. Obviously, at some point, that's gonna take a toll on her body physically, regardless of what the story walking toll might take on her mentally. You need to see some kind of cause and effect. We need to see some kind of cost, some kind of price that these characters are going to ultimately play if they're going to be meddling in these kinds of things. So I like that way better than the idea that she's just turning into a monster. This does kind of look like an after effect of everything that she went through. And if she continues to use this ability, she's going to continue to strain herself. But I just can't, again, I can't see her turning into a monster, because when I look at what happened to the monsters, it looks so much like this was a curse that was put on those original parents. And I get the feeling it's not something that is just that easily replicated, not something that you can just easily turn a human into a monster. I could be wrong. But it just seems like, if this was a punishment for the original parents for the sacrifice going wrong, or for whatever the case may be, it would kind of cheapen it a little bit. So I do agree there. But yeah, I don't know. I like the idea of her paying a price again, because that's something we've been talking about from the very beginning. There needs to be some kind of cost for these characters. We've said that for all of them. Every character that's meddling in any kind of thing that is supernatural, that is mystical, there needs to be some kind of price that they have to pay ultimately. And yeah, this might just be her price, unfortunately. But yeah, I like that. I like that better than her turning into a monster. But who knows? I mean, maybe she is. Maybe she's turning into a monster. Maybe she's turning into something similar to the kimono creature. Again, the kimono creature also had these very same kind of bluish veins all over her as well. So who knows? Who knows? It seems the chat is split on it. Some people think monster. Some people think not monster. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And now
Her
I do
soul
like,
is dying. I love that being an explanation. It's being a drain on her on her actual soul, her energy, her life force. I think that's a good as way as any to explain it.
yes. And together with that comment, I feel like that comment and Lisha are in sync,
Yeah,
because Lisha
perfect.
believes
Her
that
life force. Yeah.
it's transferring her life force. So
Yeah.
her life force, her soul. Now let's remember, in this place, your soul doesn't get to go anywhere.
Mhm.
So your soul gets stuck there. It leaves your body, but you're stuck there. You still don't get to escape from. Now, transferring her life force is really interesting because it makes me think of what Jade said. energy cannot be created or destroyed. So the energy is going to remain here. If she's transferring it to Smiley, then that's something that you could do. You could transfer the energy. You cannot create it or destroy it. So perhaps he's, getting some
Yeah.
of that energy and is going to drain her. It
Yeah.
reminds me also of what happened when she was pregnant with Smiley. When she was pregnant with Smiley, she was becoming really, really thin. And it was almost like it was eating her from the inside out. So
Uh-huh.
she was exhibiting this sort of thing. Her rib cage was showing because this thing was moving, right?
Yeah.
So potentially it could be that. It could be just the cause and effect of her
Uh-huh.
being in sync with Smiley, even for that minute or 2 minutes, you being in sync with something dead, anciently dead, is
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
have a toll on your body.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, if you're exhibiting some of you're taking on some of the physical traits of the thing that you psychically bonded to, the thing that you psychically connected to. And I could see that happening. It's a residual side effect of bonding with this thing. Yeah, I could totally see that it being that. And again, that would be good because it shows that there is some kind of price that has to be paid for using these kinds of abilities. But yeah, and again, as official Rico Fernessa brings up, what if it does the reverse and makes Smiley turn more human? I mean, as interesting as that would be, I mean, I have no idea. Who knows what's possible on this show? But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it would be very interesting to see Smiley slowly start to become human. And I guess I have often wondered, not just Smiley, but the monsters in general. When we look at the show as a whole, we often wonder about, who's going to live, who's going to die, who's going to make it out, who's going to be vital to solving things. But one thing I also often, wonder is what is going to be the fate of the monsters? What will their ultimate fate be at the end of the show? Will they all die? If they complete this quest, will all these monsters kind of die along with this place? If Fromville is no more, if it collapses, if it implodes, will everything inside of it implode along with it? Is there some kind of possible way that the monsters can get turned back into humans? What will be the ultimate fate for the monsters? I have to imagine they'll never get turned back into humans. I feel like that would be very weird after everything they did, after everything they chose to do, after everything they seemingly chose to do anyway. Turning into humans and living happily ever after just doesn't seem to be an option in their playbook. But I could totally see them just dying along with Fromville. If Fromville were to implode at the end, if they were to complete this quest and it would collapse Fromville in a sense, the monsters going with it would be rather poetic. But yeah, I don't know. I always wonder. We always wonder the fate of the humans on the show, but I often wonder what are going to be the ultimate fate of the monsters.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think, when we think of the monsters, we think of this horrendous thing that they have done, right?
Mhm.
That in itself is punishment enough. Eternity
True.
becomes heavy. It becomes
Mhm.
something that you don't want. So once again, I connected to Hermetic religion and necromancy, because in Hermetic necromancy, you don't want eternal life. What you are aiming to do is to become one, to go back to your origin, where you came from. That's what you want to do. You understand that the world is just a journey that you're going on. But if you really want to be at peace, then you want to go back to your origin, where you came from. And the
Yeah.
monsters don't get to do that. They get to live here forever. So I could definitely see a medieval sorcerer being as, hey, we want to live forever. And them thinking, sure, I'll give it to you. Because
Yeah.
guess what? Like, I don't
Let's
understand
do
why
it.
you would want to live forever and never get to go anywhere. But sure, if that is what you want, I'll give it to you. It's useless for me. It's
Yeah.
useless to live forever. What I'm trying to do is escape this loop, because that's what they believed. They believed it was a loop. And when you escape it, you could go back to your origin, where you came from, this godly essence. So I could definitely see Sophia, the original Men in Yellow, saying, yeah, that's useless to me. I will give you eternal life. I just need your 7 children. I
Uh-huh.
need them so that I may ascend, because ascension is what you want, right?
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. It's definitely a possibility. Um, Yeah, I think when we see the veins, the mind instantly goes to, okay, monster, because the veins are closely associated with monsters. But yeah, I do feel that might just be a bit of a misdirect here. She might be taking on some of the physical characteristics of the monsters, but is she fully turning into one? I don't know. But then again, just Stacey Lee brings up an interesting possibility that Fatima turning into a monster could explain why there appear to be more monsters than just the original parents from the sacrifice. I mean, and I suppose that is also a possibility to consider as well. I mean, that is something we have always wondered, right? There seems to be 7 children and a lot more, monsters than there would have been parents, a lot more. And a lot of us wondered how that is. And is it a possibility that the entire settlement got kind of cursed along with the parents? That it wasn't just the parents that got immortality, but their entire settlement, the whole, community. We always kind of assumed that was the possibility, that was the theory, at least. But I suppose this is also a possibility as well, that it was just the parents that got turned into monsters, and they have a way of turning more people into monsters. I suppose that's just as possible. But I do tend to think that the entire original community got turned into monsters, and I feel like that would account for why we see so many different monsters of various different age. I just feel like it fits, it fits a little bit more in line with the whole community getting turned into these things, not just the parents that sacrificed their children, but the whole community that made the choice.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that in the show we see a lot of mention of the community, the town.
Yeah.
We are told by the boy in blue, this is a loop and it always happens this way, Jade. The town kills you. So there's a big emphasis in the town killing these 2 people. I think that that mimics what happened at the beginning. The answers to the end are at the beginning. When they were doing the sacrifice, for whatever reason, Jade and Tabitha decided they were not going to play ball. So what happened? The town probably turned on them and killed them because they had all agreed, we will all sacrifice these 7 children and all of us will benefit and have eternal life. And suddenly they're not playing ball. So yeah, I could see why the town would kill them. They emphasize that a lot. Now, I kind of go back to history. When we think about history and ritual sacrifice, you would have a sacrifice and the entire town would show up for it. You would do it in front of the town. And if, for example, you were sacrificing a child to Tlaloc for rain, it wasn't just for you. The rain was for everybody. The entire town would have rain. The entire town would have crops. So the sacrifice didn't go specifically to one person, it was for the town. That's why I'm thinking that when they did this bargain, this deal, it was eternal life for everybody in this town. And when you think about the fact that if there was 7 children that were being sacrificed and the milkman, the lady next door, the neighbor didn't do anything about
The
this,
old
then
couple.
yeah, you would be punished, I would think, It's like you are also guilty. Not doing something is also being guilty,
Yeah.
when it's something horrible.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Um, but yeah, I always had a feeling, just based on the various different age and the variety of the monster that we do see on the show, it just always struck me that this was an original entire community that this happened to. But then again, who knows? Who knows what's possible? Maybe it is possible to turn other humans into monsters. I mean, again, there's still so much we just don't know about the show. But we got Songstress for $5. Thank you so much, Songstress, for the 5. Very, very much appreciate that. Thank God Boyd was seeing things. My heart was out of my chest seeing our VIPs laying on the ground. Yeah, again, it was definitely an interesting image, just seeing everyone just laid out dead right there. And even if it's just symbolic, representing the possibility of what could happen, it's still kind of a striking image seeing your main characters just dead. So no, I thought that was an interesting scene. This place is very much getting to Boyd. Boyd has got so much on his mind. He's not only like trying to come to terms with everything that's going on internally with Abby, but he's also got this cave thing that he's worrying about. Like, he's got so much on his plate that he's dealing with, and you can see that he's juggling it as best as he possibly can. But at times it's a lot. It's a lot even for someone as strong as Boyd. But yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting to see that this was mostly psychological. And I think it's very fitting for what he's going through right now, and it's probably not going to be the end of it.
Yeah, when I saw that, I thought for all of you that are bloodthirsty and want our characters to die, that was like a little something for you. It's like this is what it would look like if all of our people were dead. For those that want Kenny dead, it's like this is what it would look like if we did kill him off. And Tabitha and Jade. So you guys got to see some blood, and imagine the what ifs. But I thought you would like that, Jeremy, because you have been saying, that some characters need to die. I'm like, there you go. They give you a little nod, but it's
Little
not
nod,
real.
little nod, little tiny nod.
Yeah,
no,
I
it was
just thought it wasn't real immediately
Yeah.
because when you look at Donna has red on her undershirt, but then her shirt over it doesn't have the bullet hole. And it's
Yeah.
like, how do you do that? I spotted that. I'm like, fake, a fake.
fake. Yeah, it was. Again, it was. Symbolically, it was interesting. Just representing a possibility of what could happen if Boyd, doesn't make the right choices. Like I get what they were going for there, but yeah, seeing all your characters just dead like that, it was interesting. But thank you so much, Songstress, for the $5. Very, very much appreciate you, my friend. And I owe you a whoa.
Of course, that's a Fugazi. All right?
That's a Fugazi.
Wrong button. We don't want that.
Well, it was
Wrong.
a Fugazi. That death scene was a Fugazi, a
The death
Fugazi.
scene-
It was
the-
fake.
The death scene literally was a Fugazi. This is very true. Very Freudian slip, I guess. Freudian click. And we also have Walker STL for $4.99. Thank you so much, Walker STL. Was there a character on the Lost Plane named Eloise? Not on the plane, but there was a character, a very important character in Lost named Eloise, and that was the mother of Daniel Faraday. She was someone who lived on the island long before the plane even crashed on there. By the time the plane crashed on the island, she was already back on the mainland, and she is actually the one who actually helps the few that get off the island get back onto it. But she was never actually a member of the plane crash, but a very important figure in Lost as well. So yes, there was an Eloise in Lost, just not on the plane. Not on the plane. Eloise Hawking. Good old Eloise Hawking. And thank you so much, Walker STL, for the $4.99. Yeah, the whole Eloise thing, again, we got a little bit more of, Henry in this episode continuing to hallucinate, continuing to, really start to wonder if this is a real possibility, that this life that he is seeing might actually be real. That he might actually be in some kind of hospital bed, some kind of hospice bed in particular, like you pointed out, not just any old hospital bed, a hospice bed, judging by all of the, home furniture that they've kind of allowed him to have, which usually only happens under those circumstances. We're seeing it here. And it's one of those things where, for Henry's point of view, he keeps seeing this thing over and over and over again. And at some point, I have to imagine it's going to feel like he wants to believe. And if you want to believe in something, is that going to slightly impact your kind of decision overall as to whether or not it really is real? I think so. And I think we're starting to see Henry slowly start to lean into the direction that this life he's seeing with Victor having a child and him being a grandfather and Eloise still being alive and being on the plane on her way there. It seems like he's slowly but surely starting to believe that this might actually be real. And we also hear how he might have to kind of wake up from it, how he have to sever it, which you in particular talked about specifically. He has to sever his tie to this place. And of course, that can only be Victor. That can only be his tie to Victor.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that one coming. I mean, it's like I did think, Menengelo, you're doing too much. Like,
it just seems
send him in there one time and tell him you have to kill Victor, and that's it. and he'll go do it. Now, it is 100% false, okay? This is what I can tell you. This is not a real thing that is happening to him. We are not in a coma. I know that this is making a
No,
lot of people believe that we
no,
maybe are in a coma.
absolutely
Maybe
not.
we are in Henry's head.
Mm-mm.
Everything is yellow, first of all. There's
Yeah,
yellow wallpaper, yellow. Like when you look at Victor, he is in a golden yellow hue because everything around him is yellow. So not only that, but oh my God, we have Doug. Doug, we have been waiting to see you, and I was just so amazed,
I
Doug,
know. Oh
by
my
your
God.
performance. I love when we get to see a little bit more of the Men in Yellow's attitude, because
Yes.
he has this cheeky attitude
Yep.
where he's really funny, and I could definitely see why Doug was the perfect actor to play the Men in Yellow.
Yep.
And he's endearing. I'm telling you, the Men in Yellow, I know that he's bad,
It's
but he's very endearing because he does have perspective. He will tell you all the good qualities in you. And how he kissed Tabitha's hand, I was like, oh, he's a gentleman.
No, it really was. It was so good to see, you know, the OG, the original Man in Yellow, Doug back on the screen again. Not only do we love Doug, but we genuinely love the character. I do. I genuinely love the Man in Yellow version of the character. That is my favorite iteration of the character, personally. And this is exactly why this episode reminded me why I love the Doug version of the Man in Yellow the best. Not that I don't like the Sophia version. I just love the Doug version the best. And this episode reminded me of that because it, like you said, it's everything that you mentioned. It's the attitude, the kind of flamboyance, the comedic undertone of what he's speaking, and the genuine surprise and shock. And not only the shock, but it seemed like even the Man in Yellow was kind of excited. It seemed like he was kind of excited at the prospect of Jade and Tabitha, this Jade and Tabitha, doing something new, doing something that none of the previous Jade and Tabithas have ever tried before. It seemed like even the Man in Yellow was super like intrigued by that even possibility. So that whole scene just reminded me why I missed the original Man in Yellow. And it was really fun to see him in this episode again. And now that he has his suit back, I mean, now Sophia can kind of go back and forth between the Man in Yellow and Sophia as much as he or she wants at this point. So yeah, I thought that was such a fun scene to see that happen with Tabitha there. Tabitha kind of in a small way experiencing what Jim experienced right up against the RV, right where Jim died. But no, I thought it was so intriguing. And again, it also confirmed a lot of the things that a lot of you guys have been talking about, a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about here on the channel, in terms of that this Jade and this Tabitha have gotten further than any of the previous ones. They are starting to uncover things that none of the previous have ever uncovered. And it seems like we are getting confirmation of that now. So yeah, that was such a fun scene. Not only just really fun to see the Man in Yellow again, but narratively, it was a really good revealing scene as well that gave us some answers.
Yes. And once again, I think that the Men in Yellow's monologue here lets us know he is not a god. He is not all powerful.
I don't
He
think
is
so.
something in between a human and a demon,
And a
somewhere
deity.
in between there.
Yeah.
And so that's why I believe that he is practicing hermetic necromancy. Because if you do this enough, then that is what you become. Somewhere in between a demon, which is who you are channeling Capricorn over and over, and a human. He also tells us about the Hermetic Sixth Principle, where he says, you're about to do this thing. And all of the time that we have known each other, you have never
Mhm.
thought about digging up the bones of the children. You're about to do this thing, and either something great will happen, right? Or something
Mm,
horribly wrong will happen. And so
yes.
that is
Thank
the
you.
principle of cause and effect. Knowledge comes with a cost. Them receiving this knowledge of perhaps this is the answer. Doing something will cause an effect. Even he doesn't know this. He doesn't know what it will be because he's not the one doing it. If he
Mhm.
was the one doing it, then he probably will have more information. But he's not going down there to get the bones. It's them. So the
Yeah.
cause and effect will be all around, felt all and from. And that's what he's telling us. This is a principle. I can't intervene. He's
Mhm.
not saying, I'm going to stop you from doing that. He's
But
not
he can.
saying, you better not do that. He's just saying,
Well,
I want to remind you of the principle of cause and effect.
Yeah.
It could go really good. You could get out of here, or it could go really bad. And I'm kind of down to watch that happen.
And that's the part I love. It's like he seems so intrigued by it. Like he's like so excited to see, because I have to imagine, the Man in Yellow has seen so many of these cycles over and over again, probably seeing the same kind of events over and over and over and over again. So to now see something new, something completely different, something that maybe he didn't even really think of, that's like a super exciting prospect for him. And you can kind of see that, like he's excited at the prospect of not knowing what this could potentially do. Is this going to be the answer that they're searching for, or is this going to unleash hell as far as they know it? And again, the prospect of yanking the faraway tree out by its roots definitely worries me. That definitely does not strike me with the feeling that this is going to be a good thing, that there's going to be an overall good effect. Yes, it might help in the short term in terms of getting you down there and getting the bones, but it is going to have a long lasting effect that is going to be devastating if they do end up doing this. That's even if they end up getting the tree out, which is going to be difficult. That's a big tree. They got one truck. I know Jade is smart and he wants to use leverage with the other trees, which is definitely the smartest way to do it in that situation. But even if they do get the tree out and they do get the bones out, I get the feeling it's going to be, like you said, a cost and reward type thing. They might get the bones, but there's going to be a lasting, devastating effect for this to happen. Someone said something in the chat, and it was the same exact thing that I thought of when I saw this scene. It reminded me of the cork metaphor on Lost, in terms of removing the cork and letting the evil kind of spill out into the world. It had that same kind of feeling when I was watching this scene, like pulling this faraway tree out is going to unleash something bad, or it's going to have a very devastating effect in some kind of way. They might get the bones. It might help them get the bones, but I think there's going to be a severe cost they're going to have to pay if they do pop that tree out and its roots.
Yeah. This is what I'm thinking. Tinfoil had time. So I believe that these children, it's nothing for you to get my bones and bury them up there. I have been here for a very long time, for centuries, because I was killed by my parents. That is not enough.
This tree is going to be the ultimate way out. We've talked about that in the past too. I think this tree is ultimately going to be for the way for them to get out of here. Once they complete whatever quest they have to complete, I always thought the tree was going to be their final exit. They might be ripping it out.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought. Wait.
I'm sorry.
Yes, they're not gonna. It's not gonna be as easy as get the bones and bury them up top. They were buried at the bottom. You're just moving them from the top to the bottom. That is not enough. The boy in white keeps saying, "Go to the tower to save the children." This faraway tree is how you get to the tower. Tabitha has done this. Now, what they're doing is they're going to screw themselves over, because they're going to get the bones, but then you need to take those bones. That's what I believe. You must take these bones to the tower. That's why they keep saying, go to the lighthouse to save the children. They don't include get the bones and go to the lighthouse to save the children. Take the bones with you to the lighthouse to save the children. I think that's what you need to do. So you'll have the bones in hand, but you will just have uprooted the tree that would have taken you to the lighthouse.
It will take you there. And that will take you home.
Which that means that we have season 5. In season 5, they can't just use the tree and easy peasy go to the lighthouse. In season 5, now the journey is going to be, how do we get to the lighthouse without the tree? We need to find a way to get there, right? You have to navigate the forest. You're not navigating the tunnels in season 4. In season 5, you're navigating the forest to get to the lighthouse. And so that would give us a whole nother season, right? If they plug this tree, because otherwise we would say, guys, just use the tree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they successfully save the children and they can just, they can use the tree to just get there, maybe, like the boy in white said, he's not sure if it'll work again. But yeah, again, I just think this is very bad news. I think this is going to be a horrible mistake if they end up pulling this tree out. It seems like this tree is very much going to be important. It's going to be needed. Again, I do think it might even be the ultimate way out once they finally complete what they need to complete. Or if not, at the very least, yeah, is this going to be their best chance of getting, if they have to get the bones to the tower, if that's the answer, is this their best shot? It might be. So it just seems like a really bad idea. Again, this is a really big and wide cavern. Why not just dig down? You don't need to rip this whole fucking tree out from the roots. You can dig down, dig a hole into that cavern right next to the tree. That's a wide open cavern. They could easily dig a hole down. It might take a while, it might take a very long time. But they could dig a hole in right next to it, just into the freaking cavern. But again, I get it. You know, they need the suspense of it all, the suspense of adding the faraway tree being pulled out. But I mean, right? I mean, just dig a hole right next to it. Again, the caves aren't super, super, super far down. They're right on top of the cavern. They wouldn't have to dig all that far to get through to the caves. So yeah, you would think that they would have at least considered it, at least tried it. Before ripping the fucking whole tree out, a mystical, magical tree that they might end up needing. So yeah, but
Well, if I may, just thinking, something came to mind. We know that From has been showing them the answer. In one way or another, this place is trying to help you. And I believe that's the children. The ballerina, she was super scary, but she was trying to help Boyd all along. She was like, look, you're going to get worms. Get them out of your mouth.
yeah,
She was like helping. But they help you in a scary way. So what if, just, another theory, separate from the children and the tower and the tree, what about if every time you go to From, what do you encounter? You encounter a fallen tree. The answers to the end are at the beginning. Maybe you should pull out the tree. That fallen tree that has the roots. Every single time we see the tree, it has the roots.
Yeah.
It's a uprooted tree. So maybe as soon as you enter, the kids are saying like, pull the damn tree. Pull the damn tree, right? So then you remember, hey, I need a fallen tree. I need to. And what did he say? Jade says, if you go far away enough, we could get a truck and the road is there. We could pull this tree. Maybe that tree that everybody is seeing that is on the road is this tree that has to be pulled through the road. You see?
Yeah. I mean, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I see what you're saying. But if this is the case, then that means, the boy in white was trying to protect this tree, trying to get it not to get pulled out. Does that mean the boy in white isn't working with the children? Or was that just not time? Was it not time for the tree to get pulled out that early? Maybe it was still needed. Maybe they still need to use it for something before they rip it out. I don't know. I mean, I like it. I think it's an interesting theory. I think I like how it ties into the tree in the middle of the road. Everybody sees the tree before they get stuck here in Fromville. So I like that aspect of it. But something tells me them pulling this tree out is going to have a very negative effect in the long run.
And it probably will. Like more than likely, it's not a good thing. It's something, cause and effect. They're gonna have to pay the price. This is a magical tree after all. So yeah, you're gonna pay the price.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're getting the bones of the children. And it was the hope that these children had of salvation that created the roots that made this tree. You're literally uprooting that hope that the children had of salvation. That can be good. That can be good.
Yeah. These
however,
magical trees, not just normal trees.
Yeah. However, I like the idea because it would be so simple. If I was the writer, I would be like, got you all. I told you the answers to the end are at the beginning. What do you see before you see anything? The tree and up with the roots out, a tree falling on the road. It's like, I told you. Grab that tree from the roots, take it up, the answers to the end. It's so simple and elegant and unpredictable that it's like, oh my God, I didn't even have to look at all the things. I can't see the forest for the trees. The children were telling me there's a reason why you see the most random thing, a fallen tree with the roots uprooted. We're telling you, grab that damn tree and uproot it. Go forward with this plan. So I just think it would be interesting. but who
Mhm.
knows?
No,
Probably
no,
not.
no. Symbolically, it's interesting. In terms of this representing the tree that everybody sees before they get stuck here in Fromville. I like the symbolic kind of symmetry of it, if nothing else. So no, I like it. I think it's interesting. I do. But I do also think that there might be a very dangerous consequence if they pull this thing out as well. I think that's also equally, I guess, as possible. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess we'll see. And that's if they can even get this thing out. I mean, that's going to be tough with that one rinkety old fucking truck they got. I mean, if we were in the real world, I would say they would probably not have a really good chance of getting a tree that big out of the ground with that truck, even with the extra leverage from using the chains from the other and wrapping them around the other trees. But then again, it's a TV show. You have to suspend your disbelief every once in a while. But I guess it'll be interesting to see. Will they actually try to rip this tree out? And if they do, will the boy in white show up and try and stop them? I guess, again, is the question. We saw what happened last time that Victor even tried to take a little axe to this tree. The boy in white said very specifically, it's important. Don't cut that tree down. So if they do try to do this, will the boy in white show up and try and stop them?
I mean, that's interesting, but I think that the tree no longer serves a purpose. And the reason why I say this is because Tabitha asked last time she saw the boy in white, she specifically wanted to see him so she could go through the tree to the lighthouse again. And she says, if I go through this tree, will it get me to the lighthouse? And he says, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think anymore. So that means it was useful once upon a time, but it's no longer useful. He doesn't believe that this tree will get her to the lighthouse. So maybe it is a timing issue. It was useful back then, but something has changed. And that's why he said, yeah, you can't go to the lighthouse anymore. It's run its course sort of thing.
Maybe. And that's definitely possible. Definitely possible.
But I like this.
Yes, we have Sunflower for $5. Does Mandela want Jada and Tabitha to finish this time because he is also stuck in this loop and finish brings him a higher power? I don't know about a higher power or anything about that, but I think that's a very interesting possibility, Sunflower. One thing that I've always wondered about the Man in Yellow, and not just the Man in Yellow, but everything that's here in Fromville, is if they're all stuck here. If this is essentially a supernatural prison in a sense, and everyone is stuck here, the Man in Yellow might be very powerful, might have, foregone knowledge of these cycles, might have experienced all of them. But what's to say the Man in Yellow isn't trapped here along with everyone else? I mean, what is the Man in Yellow's ultimate goal? Is it just to keep these cycles going over and over and over again? Or does he eventually want to get out of this place and do this on a grander scale in the real world? I don't know. He might just want to keep these cycles going. That might just be his end game, maybe. But I don't know. Part of me has always wondered that maybe the Man in Yellow is also trapped in here, that he can't just get into the real world if he wanted to.
Thank you so much for the super chat. I really like the question. Sunflower always has really deep questions that I'm stunted on.
Yeah, absolutely good, Sunflower.
And, going along with the theory that I'm saying, or I'm going to stick to, astronecromancy. When you practice astronecromancy, so you deal with the demons, right? And you're a hermetic practitioner. What you want, the ultimate goal of life, because they also believe in reincarnation, the ultimate goal is for you to eventually ascend to your place of origin. You would be a god because you are part of God. That's who you would be. You would be a god. However, when you practice the dark or the occult astronecromancy and you are convening with the demons over and over, there's cause and effect. You're going to take a hit. And guess what? You're not going to be able to ascend to that godliness. You're going to be stuck, just like all of the demons are believed to be stuck under the moon. So I don't think he wants to get out into the real world. I think he was doing this ritual because the children's innocence could wipe away or clean. Look how dirty he is. Metaphorically, they could clean away all of that convening with the demons, all of the bad that he had done, so he could ascend and finally, go back to where he came from. Now, the children hijacked that power and they're like, no, we
No.
don't want to get killed for
No.
you to get to be a god, and we want to be saved. We want salvation. And so they created From. And so he is stuck here. And he is what is that word? Titillated?
Mhm.
Because he's like fun, like cheeky, sort of like interested.
Got this
And like, I
little-
wonder what will happen. Like, does that
Yeah.
mean I get to go? Does that mean I get to get out of here? And where
He's
do
just
I go?
Curious. Yeah, he seems to be just as curious. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm thinking he might be thinking maybe I will be made good. The bargain will be made
Okay.
good, and I get to go to complete the loop, the
Get to
cycle of my
ascend
life.
beyond, maybe. Okay,
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Again, because it's interesting about these loops. Does he? I mean, it seems like the Man in Yellow has favorite parts of these loops, but that's not to necessarily say that it has a choice of being in these loops. It might not have any more choice as anyone else. It might has to keep going in these loops just like everyone else, and maybe it does want to eventually move on to something else. Who knows? Like, what is the ultimate end game? What is the ultimate motive of the Man in Yellow? Is it just to keep the cycles going, or does he aspire to something more? I guess is the question. I don't
Well,
know. I don't know.
I mean, I'd like to use the exercise a question here. Let's say that you are this evil entity, necromancer, you do all of these bad things like he does. Even people who do bad things or call upon the devil or Satan, they're not necessarily looking forward to going to hell or to going to be a demon, right? They
Mhm.
like it in the meantime while they're alive to have this power to be able to convene with the demons to get them to do their bidding, but they're not necessarily saying, God, I can't wait to die so I could go and to hell. Nobody wants to do that, even the people that convene with the demons. So that's why I
Yeah.
think everybody
Yeah.
wants salvation. Even he wants
Even
salvation.
the darkest of
Somebody that has
creatures.
done something so dark is thinking, I was going to use those kids for salvation.
Mhm.
They're so innocent, and their children, that was powerful. That could have taken away everything bad that I've done. So I think that maybe he also is in this want for salvation. Like, if you destroy this place, I get to go somewhere. Where? I don't know. And I think that this conversation showed us he doesn't know. He doesn't know what's going to happen. He doesn't know either way. So he's not stopping her, but he's also not telling her to do it. He's very honest, this Man in Yellow.
Yeah.
He has perspective. He's a gentleman, very polite, and he's honest. He's like, listen, it could be good, it could be bad, but I'm being, honest, and I've told you, you roll the dice, you do whatever you want. I'm
Mhm.
excited to see what happens.
And he seems to be very careful in his particular choice of wording when he's talking to Tabitha or anyone. And yeah, I feel like this is a very interesting indication that shows that he might have knowledge about these cycles. He might have seen these cycles play out over and over again, but it doesn't seem like he'll have any idea what will happen if they break the cycle. Like, if Tabitha and Jade actually succeed, I don't think he has any idea what will happen, what will be the result of that. But it does seem like he's almost a little intrigued. Like, maybe he's seen these cycles so often over and over again that he's just so intrigued to finally see something new, finally experience something new, instead of just experiencing the same old cycle over and over and over again. So that's kind of what I got out of it. Like, he seemed to be intrigued by the possibility of maybe not knowing something for a change. Maybe for the first time in his many, many years, not knowing what's around the corner. That's a new and maybe exciting feeling to a small, certain degree for him. So I think this is a very interesting character, kind of, peeling back of the layers for the Man in Yellow here a little bit here, and giving us a little bit more of how he kind of really operates, maybe how he really views things a little bit more, because he very much seemed intrigued at the possibility of something new.
Yeah. I connected this thing that the Man in Yellow said and the way that he approached Tabitha with such polite gentleness, right? I connected that to what Victor said in this episode. What did Victor say to Ethan? The hardest thing is not surviving. The hardest thing is isolation. And think about it. even a demon, even this creature,
Even
half
him.
demon, half man, is
Yeah.
isolated for long periods of time. For long periods of time, he doesn't have somebody that can be there from beginning to end. He
Mhm.
may see people and have favorites like Jim. He said, "Oh, you were one of my favorites. I liked you." He
Yeah.
may have people that he likes, but people are fragile. They live and they die, and then he's alone again. Um, he says to Tabitha, even as enemies, you and me, we have been together for so long. So you grow to love this enemy because you see them, you know, they are your constant, but you don't
Mhm.
get to see them a lot.
Yeah.
So it made me think about what Victor said. Victor saying it is this isolation that is the hardest. And so for him, that's why I think he approached Tabitha in that way, kissing her hand, talking to
Mhm.
her, saying, "This is very exciting for both of us. We've been doing this a long time, centuries, and you are my constant and I am your constant. And this is exciting for both of us. We're about to do something new."
About to do
So
something
that's kind
new
of how
for a
it felt.
change.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
that's kind of
did.
how it felt.
It did, yeah. It had that feeling of excitement, of the feeling of, okay, this is new territory, and this is on some level intriguing for us. Like, okay, this is something new for a change. And I think that's an interesting aspect for this character to have, showing us that he has that kind of perspective. Yeah, I think he's very intrigued by this version of Jade and Tabitha. Very, very intrigued. And it was, again, it was good to see
So
the man in
cute.
yellow again.
He almost wanted to like hold hands with Jade and Tabitha and like skip in a circle. Yeah, like
Yeah,
we're gonna
we're
do
doing something
something
new.
new.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, he genuinely seemed excited. He seemed giddy, very giddy. But thank you, thank you, Sunflower, for the 5. Very, very much appreciate you, my friend. And I owe you a whoa. Okay, all right. We got Mick Light for 2. Thank you so much, Mick Light, for the 2. Very, very much appreciated, my friend. Removing the bones could unleash something evil, and that's also an interesting possibility as well. We're talking, we talked earlier about the possibility of removing the faraway tree, potentially unleashing something evil or having some kind of negative effect. But yeah, what about the bones themselves? Could there be some kind of possibility where that is the case, as Mick Light brings up? Could removing these bones themselves release something evil? I mean, if nothing else, it's at least a question probably worth asking. They have no idea what they're walking into. They have no idea what kind of effect this is going to have.
yeah, McLight. He tells us straight up. He's like, "Listen, I'm a demon, but sometimes I'm honest, and I'm telling you, I don't know what's gonna happen, something bad or something good. This is
Mhm.
exciting."
Yeah.
So it could be bad. It could be bad. Maybe we're thinking the children are good, but all along they're the real demons. You never
Oof.
know. It could really be
No,
anything.
I don't know.
Something is for sure, McLight. 100% this Jade and this Tabitha are special. This
Yes.
Jade is very, very special. He's more
Yep.
special than any other Jade before. How do
Yep.
we know that? We know that because the Men in Yellow just said,
Men in
we've
Yellow
never
pretty much
done this
told us.
before. But also, if other reincarnations had messed with the bones, had gone down there or attempted to move, the bones wouldn't be there. They would be buried. They would be in the forest.
Yep.
They would be somewhere else. So that means that those bones have sat there for centuries.
Mhm.
That means it's not easy to get to them. Nobody has ever even attempted to get to them. And so the fact that they are still there where you could find them and nobody has moved them is proof that this Jade is different. I won't say for Tabitha, she's acting out. And the chat is saying it. Like the chat
Jade
has
does
had it
seem to
with
be the one that's
Tabitha.
getting shit done, right? I mean, it is Jade that's fucking, accomplishing a lot of this. You're right. No, I agree. I mean, it's very interesting. It seems like maybe nobody's even attempted. Maybe nobody's even thought of removing those bones. Maybe none of the previous Jades and Tabithas have ever even gotten that far to even think that, let alone attempt it. So yeah, I definitely, again, with that added little kind of extra little confirmation we kind of get here from the Man in Yellow, it seems like it supports what a lot of you guys have been saying in the chat, what we've been talking a little bit about as well. That they're getting way fucking further than any of their predecessors. And again, knowledge comes at a cost. That is where their price is going to come into play. The further they get, the more they uncover, the deeper the price, the steeper the price that they're going to have to pay. So yes, they might be kind of getting further than anyone else before, but they're also going to pay the biggest price as anyone else before, potentially as well, if they're not careful, if they're not successful. So yeah, this is definitely seems to be and again, it makes sense. This is where John Griffin has set the story. This is where he has chosen to, tell and end his story. This is the cycle that is different from the others. This is just happens to be maybe it's not just Jade and Tabitha. It's just the right collection of people this time. It's the Boyds, it's the Victors, it's the Sarahs, it's everybody that happens to be in town right now. Maybe this cycle just happens to be the perfect mix of people that was finally needed to get this right. The right Jade, the right Tabitha, Boyd. It just has everything it possibly needs. This is the best chance they've ever had. The right kind of mix of people.
Yes. So I'm working on this video, and I always tell you guys, it's hard. I'm working on it. I'll get it out eventually. But I've talked to you guys about this theory about as above, so below. In order to reverse what has been done to these children, it's not going to be enough to just bury me. If I'm a child, my entire town sacrificed me for eternal life. Guess what? It's going to take a whole town sacrificing themselves for me to feel loved, for me to feel like it's enough, like I could release you, like I could let you go. And so the idea that I've thought about is that the theory is a sacrifice is needed. It started with the sacrifice of the children, but this has to be a willing sacrifice of the town. These people have to be willing to die for these children and for humanity as a whole. They have been trying to tell us this since the beginning, guys. Mm-hmm. They have mentioned the trolley problem. They have mentioned decision making about, do you choose colony house or do you choose town? So they introduced the idea of the ethical dilemma of the trolley problem. Would you be willing to sacrifice if it's going to do more good than bad? Are you willing to do that, right? And Jade says nobody's willing to make the hard choices. So if they're going to go down and they're going to do this, they're going to need a group of people that step up and say, hey, I'm willing to die for you, Jade, for you, Tabitha, for all of you that may leave. I'm willing to die, to sacrifice myself willingly. I will go down into those caves, understanding that I may never come out. A 300 sort of moment, right? Tonight we dine in hell. But they need to be ready to do that with the understanding that that's what it is. And also Boyd needs to be able to deal with the ethical dilemma.
He needs to accept it too. Yeah.
What do I do? That's what Katri is saying. Katri, I love Katri this episode because he was so real. He's good. Like, dude, get over it. It is what it is.
Katri. This felt like
that was the real one.
This felt the exact kind of advice that the real Katri would give is exactly what we got in this episode from him.
Exactly. So I believe that for Boyd is handling this and saying, I'm not going to lead people into the caves if I know that they're, not going to make it out. He wants them to live. But I think that you need to get your group of people and put it as a question. If we're going to go down there, you might die. Are you willing to do this?
We need to accept that possibility.
Why are we even going down there? Because we need to get the bones of these children that were sacrificed. And because we want people to live. Are you willing to give your life for others, for the world? Because if we save these children, nobody else in the world would ever have to come to front.
That's exactly how I would paint it to them as well.
So I think Boyd has to do it. Boyd has to ask them. Boyd is taking all the responsibility of making the choice for them. But I think that Boyd should get his group of people and ask them, Sarah, do you want to do this? And we know Sarah's down. Sarah's going to be like, yes, I'll do it yesterday.
Sarah's answer, she's going to be first to fucking step.
Acosta was suicidal. Acosta was like wanting to not be here anymore. So she's going to be like, hey, I already wanted to go down. I'm going to go down fighting.
Kenny's going to be there. Kenny ain't going to let Boyd go down there alone.
Yeah, exactly. So this 300 moment that I imagine Boyd having with his group of people, we may die today, like, and he's so good at giving these speeches. Every
He's
time
so
he's
good at these
given the
moments.
town a speech, it's like,
Yeah.
iconic.
It would be such a good scene. And yeah, again, Jade is telling us the answer. This is why maybe nobody's gotten this far. Nobody's been willing to make this choice, these kinds of sacrifices that it might actually take to get us out of here. Yes, it's harsh. Yes, it's a very difficult choice, but what you have to weigh the risk versus the reward type thing. And you have to it's not just that. Boyd needs to give it to the people for a choice. Boyd kind of just taking the choice or making the choice himself and not giving the town their own choice kind of goes against everything that the town is really set up for. Right from the very beginning, like you said earlier, the first thing you get when you get into this town is a choice of how you want to live your life. Why wouldn't you allow the choice why wouldn't you give the town the choice to decide how they die? I mean, it's antithetical to how they run the town. So for Boyd to make this decision on his own just doesn't make sense. And I think he needs to come to that realization where he needs to realize, okay, I need to present the information to the town. I need to tell them what the options are, and they need to choose. They need to decide for themselves if this is a risk they are willing to take. But at the very least, I need to give them the choice. I can't make this choice for you. So I think that's something he needs to come to realization with. And again, I think we will very much see plenty of townsfolk step up. Like you said, Sarah, definitely. Kenny, definitely. Acosta, definitely. A lot of people would. Randall, I could see Randall stepping up easily. I think a lot of people would be willing to do this if it meant getting them out, but also preventing anybody else from ever getting stuck here again as well. I think there would be plenty of people that would be willing to do this.
Yes. So there's something that Boyd has said that was very powerful. Boyd said something that I believe is the answer to this. He cannot see the answer anymore. He said it. He said the answer, but he can't see it because he's so tormented by the fact that he had to kill his wife, and his wife killed other people. That's why he had the vision. Because they want to torment him and remind him of the loss of life, so that when Jade comes up with a plan, he says, no, I'm not willing to do it. That's why it happens in sequence right after that. Now, he said something super powerful, and that is his answer. He said, there may come a time, Kenny, there may come a time where the only thing we get to decide is how we leave here, how we die. And so I think that this is the time. You have to put it to them that way. This is the time. The only thing you get to decide is how you die. You could stay here and the monsters try to survive and eventually die, or you could roll the dice and die in the tunnels potentially, or make it out of here. We don't know, but you get to decide how you die. Are you going to die waiting? Are you going to die of old age here with the monsters, or are you going to die in the tunnels like a fighter, like a warrior? So I think that he had the answer all along. It just wasn't the bullets. It wasn't suicide by bullet. It's suicide by caves and monsters.
Well, it's suicide, and not only suicide, but sacrifice. Willing to sacrifice themselves in order to bring these children peace. And we've talked a little bit about it in the past that the very fact that they're willing to sacrifice themselves might be enough to appease the children in and of itself. They might not even actually have to sacrifice themselves. If the children see that they're willing to sacrifice themselves, that in and of itself might even be enough. But yeah, it's that idea of willing to give something up, willing to sacrifice yourself, willing to walk into this knowing this is a real possibility, to give up your own life to bring peace to someone else, to save, a bunch of children essentially from this torment that they've been in for centuries at this point. So yeah, no, I love it. I think it's a real possibility. I just, Father Cautry's cameo was fucking awesome. It felt so much like the original and the real Father Cautry from season 1. This does exactly sound like the kind of advice he would give him, because we've seen Father Cautry give this kind of advice before in terms of Boyd building the box. Boyd was very hesitant, didn't even want to put Frank in the box. And Father Cautry all but told him, hey, you kind of have to. You can't just build a guillotine in the middle of the town square and then be afraid to use it. The box is supposed to be a deterrent. Well, it's not going to deter anyone if they know you're afraid to use it. So Father Kotri has been known to be able to make those hard choices. And that's why I always wonder, what would the show look like if Father Kotri never died? Yes, his presence on the show is still felt to a certain degree, but I always wonder what kind of like show would this have looked like if Father Kotri never have died? Because he has always been that kind of, devil, I guess you could say, in priest form on Boyd's shoulder that has always been willing to make those hard choices. He's always been willing to make these sacrifices. So I think this is a very interesting choice that Boyd's going to have to come to terms with. And I think Father Kotri telling him, urging him in that direction is something that the real Father Kotri definitely would have done.
Yeah, he definitely felt real. I really liked, the stoicism. It is what it is, Boyd. It doesn't matter if you forgive yourself or not. Move on, because at this point, it's costing you your mental health. Like, move on. And that's why Boyd used to say, "You're the worst fucking priest," because he's not telling him like, "Boyd, you better go pray. Boyd, you better go do that." He's saying, "You killed your wife. Get over it." I mean, what type of priest says that? But that's why he felt so Kotri, because that is who Kotri was. Kotri pisses off Boyd because he's like, "Hey, Boyd, are you going to come to the service? They're gonna bury Frank." And Boyd gets bothered. He's like, "Are you serious? You literally had a piece in like the action that made this man lose his life, putting him in the box, and now you're gonna proceed over the ceremony of his funeral? Like, what a cycle, right?" But he's like, and Father Kotri's like, "Oh, just get over it. It is, it is what it is. You must accept it." That's who he was. I love though that the chat is saying this, Jeremy. We don't know, who's gonna be the gang that is down to have this 300 like battle with the monsters,
squad.
Right?
Who's gonna be the Suicide Squad? The Fromville Suicide Squad.
We know this for sure. It's not gonna be Ellis. The chat is saying, listen, it could be anybody, including Ethan, including Alma the goat, but it's not gonna be Ellis. Like that, I feel like it's a good bet. You could make that bet and you probably would win. Ellis is not going anywhere.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. I think that if there's anyone that's sitting this out, it's gonna be Ellis. It's going to be Ellis. It's definitely going to be Ellis. But no, I think that is a good question. Who is going to go on this mission? Who is going to be our ultimate Suicide Squad here, in a sense, that would be willing to make this decision? Again, I think we covered the obvious ones, where Sarah, very obvious, she'll definitely be willing. Kenny, definitely be willing. Acosta, you mentioned. I think Acosta will definitely be willing as well. But outside of that, who else do you think would be willing to take this choice? Again, I think Randall is a good possibility where he might be willing to do this. Randall has been known to step up in the past. Yes, he's had kind of an up or down character arc from the time he's been here till now. He's done some very heroic things, and then he's also done things like tying up Donna and threatening to torture her. But I feel like Randall has become a really good character, and they've really kind of developed his character really well. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if he volunteers to go. I wouldn't even be surprised if Julie tries to volunteer to go, but Tabitha tries to stop her.
I like what Alisan here is saying. You have a point. I mean, we're talking strategy. Boyd brought the army.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, Boyd once again mentioned, "I was in the army and this is what this is called." So he is thinking, I was like, thank God, Boyd, you are not making these decisions nilly-willy. He is thinking, I have training in this. I could see the plan. Like, I know you think I'm crazy and I'm shaking, but I still have my training and I need to look at the plan. But I like the way that you're thinking. If we're thinking, this is a war, this is a military operation, take Victor, the monsters don't get him. But I think that you're gonna have a hard time convincing Victor to go, because he's teaching right now. He is being the teacher to Ethan, right? So but maybe honestly, he is the person that knows the system the best. So if he's courageous enough, he could probably get them to where they need to go. because he knows how to navigate that.
What they should do is try and contact the boy in white and get some kind of guidance. The boy in white is the one who told Victor the way. The boy in white was the one who guided Victor through the caves so Victor could guide Tabitha. Every time the boy in white pops up, they're always asking him the wrong fucking questions. Maybe this could be the one time they finally try to get in touch with him and ask him the right questions. How do we get to the cavern? But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to think who's going to go on this mission. I like a lot of our choices. I think Sarah, very obvious. She's definitely going to be fucking down there. And Boyd even kind of really said that much. He said, "I'm going to need you later when I'm going down into those tunnels." So we know Sarah's going to be there. But this is going to be interesting. Very interesting to see who's going to go. But yeah, I agree with you. I agree with the chat. Ellis, probably not. Probably not.
Ellis is gonna be like, "I will remember you." Somebody has to stay alive to remember the 300. We don't know about the 300 because everybody died. Everybody was a hero. We know about them because somebody was the coward who said, "I'll stay behind, guys. I'll tell your story. I'll go on and I'll tell your story." But can we go in chronological order, because I get confused, or I don't know how you want to do it to go through the episode.
Yeah. All right, yeah, we started off with the Fatima thing at the beginning of the episode. Is Fatima turning into a monster or not? Again, I don't know. I think when we see those veins, we instantly think monster because the monsters have similar veins. But I don't really think that's what's happening here. I do think that's along the lines of what we discussed earlier, that it's probably just a price that a wear and tear from this connection to Smiley, from using this connection. There has to be a price. There needs to be some kind of cost to using these abilities. But then we get to Jade and Boyd in the bar, and Jade is trying to map out the kind of area, trying to map out the caves as best he can. And he feels like he finally got to a place where it's pretty accurate. And as you mentioned earlier, this is where Boyd notices that the cavern to the caves, where the bones are actually buried, there seems to be only one entrance and one exit. And of course, Boyd, being a military background, knowing tactics and strategy, he knows instantly, okay, this is a kill zone. This is the worst kind of place that you would want to be in strategically, and it's just not worth the risk. So instantly, as soon as they finally get a little bit of progress to kind of mapping out these caves, they're presented with a whole new set of problems of how do we find a secondary exit. Obviously, we see where that goes later on in the episode, and Jade finally kind of cracks the idea, but it's a very dangerous solution that he might be coming to.
Yeah. Now, in the chat, you guys are saying, and you notice this too, Jade isn't going down there. He's like, somebody needs to make the hard choices. And I'll tell you why. Yeah. I'm going to tell you why he's not going down there. And he's told us this before. Listen, this version of Jade is the head of a company. You do not get to be the head of a company unless you delegate the tasks that are not necessary for you to do. So what is he doing? He's thinking big picture. That's why he's setting it up. And he's like, okay, what is my goal? My goal is to save these kids, to get these bones and do whatever I need to do, the ritual. So I'm needed for the second part. I believe that the second part, me and Tabitha are going to be needed because we're the ones that screwed this up. The children were calling for us. So I am needed for this very essential second part. Now, I'm not needed to get these bones. Like maybe the other Jades that I have help, but if I could convince these people to help me, to work with me on this goal, then I will delegate that. Because there is no sense. Let's say that they do die. The Suicide Squad dies. Jade has to think about, now I get a second try. Now you send another squad and a third, right? You have to keep trying, right? But you don't get to try if you died in the first one.
Yeah.
That's why Jade is saying somebody has to be willing to make the difficult choices. And they tell him, well, it's not you, right? You're not the one that's going down there. Yeah. But what they don't understand is whether you like it or not, I'm the head of the company. Me and Tabitha. Whether you like it or not, I am valuable to the machine to the second part, so I can't die in
Jade's
the
just
first.
more valuable. It's just that simple. And Boyd has to know that deep down. Boyd knows that Jade is the source of this information. He's the only one of the two people in the world with this knowledge. And all signs very much point to both Jade and Tabitha having a huge role in whatever this is going to be, whatever solution is going to be the solution. So, yeah, I mean, I have to imagine Boyd isn't oblivious to this idea that, yes, Jade and Tabitha are simply just more valuable. It is that simple at the end of the day. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. I guess we shall
Yeah,
see.
and
who forms
it's
the
like
squad.
just essential.
Yeah.
I think that he needs to find a way to get this across to people because he came into town as a pompous a-hole.
Exactly.
So when he says,
Thinking
I
he
am
was
more
better than
valuable
anybody.
than you are, ding dongs, they're not gonna take this well. They're gonna be like, hell no, you're not. So he has to work it in a way of, I am more essential, not more valuable than you. Everybody, we're a family. That's why the companies, when you work for corporate, they say, we're a family here. We're not more valuable than you. Yeah, the CEO makes a lot more money than you, but we are a family, right? You need to work that in. So he can't be calling them ding dongs and saying, I'm more valuable. He has to say, I'm just essential for the second part. You want to help me in the first part? That's where you come in. That's where you shine when you're going to go down there to die.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, yeah, I mean, I suppose, yeah, there is always the possibility that they can just respawn. They can just wait 30 years for another Jade and Tabitha to get born and try all over again and hope that maybe they get this far. But again, we've been told so far that this cycle is different. This group of people, this Jade, this Tabitha, this is different. They've gotten further than anyone ever has. So if this Jade and this Tabitha dies, there's no guarantee that the next Jade and Tabitha will ever get this far ever again. Because again, I feel like it's not just Jade and Tabitha, it's having the right mix of people in this town, in this cycle. The Boyds, the Victors, everybody else, they happen to have the perfect mix to finally get the job done. So I do feel like this is their only choice. This is their only chance to finally break this thing. If this group doesn't do it, it'll never get done, is in my opinion, is what I think. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we shall see. But yeah, Boyd is and again, Jade gets a little discouraged here. Jade was thinking that Boyd was going to maybe receive this with like a little bit more enthusiasm, like, oh man, like you did really good job. But as soon as he sees it, he's kind of instantly shoots it down. And of course, that's a little a little demoralizing for Jade, but he has to continue to find a safer way. Because Boyd is right. Boyd is 100% right at the end of the day. You never go into a situation like that where there's only one entrance and one exit. It's a tactical nightmare. You simply don't do it. So Boyd's right. 100% side with Boyd on this topic at least. So yeah, Jade's gonna have to go back to the drawing board, which he does. Jade does kind of come up with what he thinks is a possible solution with removing the tree, however dangerous that might be. I don't know. All right, let's see. Up
We
next,
do have
we
a
have
super chat.
Okay, all right, yeah,
Sorry.
let's get to no problem. We had two actually. Let's get to these two. We get the Fromaholic Dieter for $2. Is the boy in white going to stop them like with Victor? And again, that is another interesting question that we were wondering as well. We were discussing that a little bit earlier in terms of, I mean, again, as soon as Victor tapped that freaking tree with that axe, the boy in white showed up right away. So yeah, you tend to wonder, at the very least, you would think that if Jade is trying to rip this whole thing out of the ground, would the boy in white show up and try to stop them? Or again, are, like you said, PM, are the trees maybe not as valuable, not as useful as they once were because maybe they're not as predictable as they once were? Maybe the boy in white can't guarantee where someone is going to end up like he seemed to used to be able to do. Yeah, I don't know. But if they do try to yank this thing out of the ground, I guess at the very least, I won't be surprised if the boy in white shows up.
Yeah, I'm thinking, from a Holic Dieter that he didn't care about the tree last time. Last time Tabitha was there and Henry was pulling her. No, you don't. I love the way the old man way that Henry screams. Tabata. Last time that they were doing that whole thing, he didn't seem to care. He didn't even show up next to the tree. Usually he shows up right next to the tree. He showed up out into the forest. And when they asked him, is this going to send me to the lighthouse? He's like, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think anymore. So I think that he's telling us the usefulness of this tree is no more. This tree has outlived its usefulness in this round. Once you make it to this round, it's going to be something different. So potentially that is my thought, but I could be wrong. He could very well show up. He could very well show up.
He could. I mean, something tells me that the trees are still going to be useful in some type of way. I mean, they've been such an important part of the show up until now. I would be surprised if they just axed them like that, but they could. Again, they very well could. Again, the boy in white did very well seem like he had no idea what would happen to Tabitha if she stepped in that tree. And that does indicate that the trees are not working like they used to be, or at the very least, he can't predict them like he used to be able to. So yeah, maybe the trees aren't going to be as useful as they used to be. I think it could go either way for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see if, and that's if Jade ever even gets to this point where they do try to rip out the tree. This is his initial first plan, but are we actually going to see him enact this plan? Like, is this something they are actually going to try? And if so, are they even going to succeed? Will they even be able to get the tree out of the ground? I guess is another question. I don't know. All good questions, but will the boy in white show up? Again, 50-50. Maybe he could. Maybe he shows up and tries to stop them. Or, yeah, maybe he feels that the trees are no longer useful and he doesn't care. I could see it going either way. But thank you so much, Fromaholic Dieter, for the $2, my friend. Very much appreciated. And I owe you a whoa. Okay. All right, we got 2 more. We got Sunflower for 5. Thank you so much, Sunflower. Very, 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 very much appreciate it. I think the man in yellow targets Henry because he knows Victor could reveal his identity. Victor emotional reaction when Tabby said she would get him home broke me. I mean, we got some interesting stuff between Victor and Tabitha in that scene and, in this episode in general. But in terms of Sophia targeting Victor, why would she want Victor dead? Why would she want this? And if she wants Victor dead, why not kill him herself? And we've always wondered if maybe the man in yellow can. Like, are there certain characters that the man in yellow just can't kill himself directly? And is Victor one of these protected characters, maybe? We've always wondered that. And I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if that is the possibility that it's not just Jade and Tabitha that the man in yellow can't kill, that there's other protected characters like the Victors, especially where, what you were talking about in particular, PM. We've long talked about Victor kind of being like the historian of From, but you have went a little bit even deeper with it in terms of Victor maybe even being like the scribe, like the official scribe of Fromville, but not just Victor, but this being we've also often wondered that this was going to be a character arc, a character type that was going to repeat itself. Victor and now Ethan, not in the sense where they are reincarnated. I don't think Victor and Ethan are reincarnations of each other. I mean, they're both alive at the same time, so I think that kind of cancels out the possibility that they're reincarnations of each other. But I do think Victor and Ethan are both similar character arcs, similar character types that are going to fill similar roles on the show, like being this historian of Fromville, in a sense. Victor is the record keeper of this place. He's the memory of Fromville, in a sense. So I always like that. So I do like the idea of that kind of continuing. Victor and then Ethan potentially becoming the next Victor in that sense. Not so much, again, in reincarnation sense, but just filling a similar role.
Yes. I think that's why he's being targeted, of course. I think it goes beyond just the reveal. I think sooner or later, Sunflower, he is revealed or he shows himself. I think that he is the type of entity, this man in yellow, that he would like very cocky go out and be like, hi,
Yeah.
It was me. You never figured
Reveal
it out. Reveal, it's me, right?
I can see it. I can see it. Yeah.
I think it's more about Victor is being very courageous.
Yes.
I can't have that.
Yes.
Like, let alone, yeah, he discovers me, but he is being courageous. He is trying to tell them about the loops and the cycles and how things work. And every other season, when they asked him, hey Victor, can you tell me about this, can you tell me about that, he was like, no, I don't want to talk about it. But
Yeah.
this one, he is so focused on Ethan and Ethan's
Basing his
life and safety and salvation, that he's like, listen, I'm not gonna do it for Henry, not gonna do it for the people
Mhm.
in Colony House, I'm not gonna do it for Donna. Ethan is what has him acting differently. So
Yep. His new motivation.
I
Yeah.
think that's why he's doing it. Now, I've talked about Hermetic religion, which is the Hermetic, astronecromancy of combining with the demons. This is the type of witchcraft that I think is happening. Now, this witchcraft originated from the god Thoth, which is a god of hieroglyphics and talismans. So he is the god that is said to have invented hieroglyphics and why they were important. And it's a combination of that god and Hermes, the Greek god. Now, when it comes to hieroglyphics and record keeping, the Egyptians and the Hermetic people, they thought that the record keeper was very important. That position, if you held the position of a scribe, you were very important. Nobody could touch you. The scribe was allowed to live even when the gods were fighting. So if there was a godly dispute, the Egyptians believed that the scribe thought, who was the scribe, he would be allowed to sit there and record what was happening between the gods, and they could not touch him, because that is how they valued and pressure history being written down. I believe that the boy in white is Tabitha and Jade's original son.
Yes.
I believe that what we are seeing, they have already told us, this is a cycle. It keeps going over and over. Tabitha and Jade originally had a daughter, the little Ankui girl, and a son, the boy in white. The boy in
And
white
potentially every
held
cycle
the
after,
position.
not just Miranda and Tabitha were thinking. It was always the version of Tabitha always having a son and a daughter.
Yeah. So the boy in white, when everything happened and the monsters, the people got turned into monsters, Tabitha and Jade were killed by the town and resurrected, and everything was empty, the boy in white was the one that held the position of a scribe. Now, the position wasn't given to girls, only boys. And you had to start your training when you were a child. You were chosen when you were a child. And if you were a girl, guess what? Tough luck. You can't be a scribe. So Julie and any other little girl that Tabitha has had, you can be the only survivor. You can be the one to keep history. It has to be your brother. So I think that the boy in white was the original scribe. Now,
The original
when Tabitha comes in with a little boy and a little girl, the little girl always dies and the little boy always lives. And the little boy is introduced to what he is supposed to do by the boy in white. We have proof of that because Victor told us the boy in white taught me all of these things. He showed me what I need to do. The boy in white said the hardest part is the loneliness. So you need to work on that. The boy in white wouldn't have said that unless he experienced that himself, unless he knew I've been around here forever. And the hardest part is the loneliness, Victor. So the boy in white taught Victor, and Victor is teaching Ethan. And Victor already told us, there used to be a guy like me. He went up in the roof. He tried to fix things. He only made things worse, and he threw himself off the roof. That was another version of the boy in white. So Ethan is a scribe. Victor is a scribe. The original little boy in white is a scribe. That's why the boy in white, whenever he sees the children, Victor or Ethan, he introduces himself. He's like, hi, you are me. Hi, you better get used to me because we are going to be together for a while. I'm going to teach you things. And hieroglyphics is in pictures. It's not necessarily an alphabet, it's in pictures. And that is what Victor and Ethan draw. Now, do you remember the caves? In the caves, there are hieroglyphics, little stick figurines that tell the story, the original story. Victor believed that that was the monsters who did that. But I don't believe that. I believe that when everything was said and done, the little boy in white, the scribe, went down there into the caves and he started coloring what had just happened. Like he was like, oh my God, this is my parents, my sister, this is what just happened, this entity. And then I saw this and then I saw that, and that is how it happened. So he's the one that wrote that. And now Victor and Ethan get to hold that position. They're not reincarnations. They are just who Tabitha brings into town as their son. The little girl always dies. The little boy is condemned to be the scribe.
Yeah, I think I think they fit similar character types. When you look at the boy in white teaching Victor, Victor now teaching Ethan, Ethan worrying, and Victor bringing up the whole possibility of him potentially of Ethan potentially following in the footsteps of him. I think they could potentially be similar character types that might repeat throughout cycles, but no, not reincarnations. Definitely not a reincarnation type thing. But similar character types that get brought into this place. Again, maybe every Jade and maybe every Tabitha always have similar kind of details to their lives. Does Tabitha, or all these versions of Tabitha, do they always have a son and a daughter? And is that why Thomas had to die? Is that why Thomas ultimately didn't live longer than being an infant? Is Tabitha only meant to have a son and a daughter, maybe? I don't know. But we thought it was an interesting kind of rabbit hole to dive down, an interesting theory. I think it's, it could fit in some ways, looking how Ethan and Victor and the boy in white are all seemingly potentially following similar trajectories. But then again, we still need to learn a little bit more about the boy in white. There's so much about that character that we don't know, where he really came from and everything. This is an interesting possibility for his origin, though, I think. But yeah. Is the boy in white potentially the original son of the original Jade and Tabitha? Maybe. Was there always two children? Maybe. But thank you so much, Sunflower, for the $5. Very much appreciate it. And I owe you a whoa. Okay, all right, let's see what we got here next. Before 5, thank you so much. Very much appreciate it. Thank you. Is it possible the man in yellow is afraid of smile monsters too? Would they recognize him if they saw him? Would they attack him? Who is that Martin guy? Ooh, interesting. Now, I don't know what's going on with the man in yellow and the monsters. Like, what is the relationship there? What is the kind of hierarchy? We've often wondered, is there some kind of hierarchy to the monsters? Do the monsters report to the man in yellow? Can the man in yellow control the monsters to some small certain degree? And again, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe, if the man in yellow was this original being that brought this deal to the parents, then I think it would stand to reason that the man in yellow would be very familiar with the monsters. He's been here for cycles upon cycle upon cycle. Maybe the man in yellow is a bit above the monsters in the sense of the pecking order type thing. But I don't know. Again, it's all really just theories, because we have never actually seen the man in yellow and monsters kind of interact with each other, on the same screen, really, other than that one little snippet at the very beginning of the season when Sophia was outside of Colony House and Kenny had to kind of bring her in. But now I don't know. Again, I think a lot of good theories out there in terms of what the connection is, but until we learn a little bit more, it's really hard to tell what is the relationship between the man in yellow and the monsters. Oh, mute.
Sorry. Thank you so much for the super chat. And I agree with you, Jeremy. I would say there's a couple of questions here. Is it possible Men in Yellow is afraid of the monsters? No, I don't think he's afraid, because Sophia, she went outside to talk to them. They were talking to her, and then she had to pretend, oh my God, like the monsters, Kenny saved me.
Who was she talking
But she
to
went
them
outside to talk to them, and she wanted to remove the talisman. She's like, so this keeps them out? She wanted to take that. If she was afraid, she would have kept that talisman and stayed indoors. And she wasn't afraid. She went outside on
Is she
purpose.
even giving the monsters their information, even to a certain extent?
Maybe. Would they recognize them if they saw him? Yeah, I think that they know exactly who he is. I think he might have even told them, like, this is what I want you to do. We know that she got information, and this is my proof. She got information from Boyd as to what they were going to try to do with that talisman rod. And then the milkman was like, oh my God, you hurt me. Ouch. Instead of following their routine, they did something different. That means that they're working together. That means Sophia would have had to gone to the monsters and say, hey, they're going to try to kill you with this thing. Why don't you pretend that it works? And so they did something different. I think that that shows that Sophia gave them information. She's, working with them. They're not afraid of her. She's not afraid of them. They wouldn't attack him. They had opportunity. Who was Martin? God knows. Martin is the one person that I don't know. I have no idea.
Who the fuck is Martin? I mean, I feel like there's been, again, as many Martin theories as there's been theories for just about any other aspect of the show up until this point, with very little actual concrete information as to who Martin really is. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of good theories. I know a lot of people think the man in yellow was Martin the whole time and it was just one of his disguises. But I also wonder if there's a possibility that Martin was maybe captured by the man in yellow. Was he used as some kind of vessel or some kind of host for these worms? I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of good theories, a lot of crazy theories surrounding who Martin is, but we just really don't have enough definitive information to say one way or another. But I always like exploring different possible ideas, but never like to say anything like definitively, this is what it is. So I don't know. I think those are my two most interesting theories surrounding Martin, but ultimately, who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised if he was captured by the man in yellow. I think that's my favorite theory.
Yeah. I like that one. I don't have a Martin theory at all. And yes, I am wearing a tinfoil witch hat because this is witches. This is hermetic witches. And it's tinfoil because unlike Jeremy, yeah, I'm going to tell you crazy stuff and be like, yeah, 100% this is what it is.
With going tinfoil.
But that's why it's tinfoil, because I am saying, dude, I'm saying that this is what it is. It may not be. We're poking fun. It's all in good fun.
It's all in good fun. And that's what it is at the end of the day. It doesn't matter, how grounded your theory is or how crazy outside the box your theory is. You're supposed to have fun with these kinds of things. This show is meant to have fun with, especially the theorizing aspect of it. Mystery shows like this are very much geared towards these kinds of discussions, or at least that's kind of how I see it anyway. So no, the crazier the better, the more tinfoil the better. Everybody throw on your tinfoil witch hat if you got one. That is what this show is for at the end of the day. But thank you so much for the 5, Ian. Very much appreciated. Very, very, very much appreciated. And I owe you a whoa. Okay, and last but not least, we have Blitzkrieg for $10. Thank you so much, Blitzkrieg. Very, very much appreciated, my friend. We have, please check out my post in Discord under tinfoil. I'm Bravo Fox. I really think you'll like it. It's pairing up with a lot of what you're saying. Oh, interesting. Okay, let me take a look. Okay, tinfoil section. Bravo Fox. Okay, I see it. All right, I will read this out. Boy in White, Man in Yellow, and Thomas are all the same theory. Okay, so this is Blitzkrieg's, aka Bravo Fox in the Discord's theory about the Boy in White, Man in Yellow, and Thomas all potentially being the same character theory. Okay, all right, let's see what this has to say. Bottom line up front, Thomas is the Man in Yellow reincarnated, who died on purpose while Tabitha/Jim were distracted in order to light the match that gets the Matthews into town. Man in Yellow needs Tabitha more than Jade because Tabitha always brings a new child with her, which is her sole magnet to the town. Interesting. Boy in White appeared immediately after everyone died. It was the first person he encountered who began guiding him. Boy in White disappeared 2 years prior to the Matthews family arriving in town, revealed in conversation between Ethan/Victor. Julie was 15 years old when Thomas died, revealed in the argument with Jim. Julie was 17 when she arrived in town. Thomas died when Jim answered the phone, and Tabitha reached for the phone. And Tabitha reached for something. Phone is confirmed. I think Tabitha was getting a diaper. Thomas communicates to Jim / Tabitha via the phone multiple times, confirmed to be the man in yellow, which we did see again in this episode, the man in yellow disguising his voice as Thomas to lure Tabitha out to the RV. Sophia / Man in Yellow waves to Ethan the exact same way the boy in white waved to Ethan in season 1, and Victor when he was a child. Boy in white reappeared in town when the Matthews arrived in town, conveniently 2 years after he disappeared, and roughly the same period when Thomas was born. Interesting, very interesting. This leads me to another tinfoil theory. The man in yellow is related to Tabitha's original soul. I want to say possibly one of the children, her child. The man in yellow, the boy in white, and Thomas are all the same person. Interesting. Okay, very interesting. So you're bringing up the possibility that maybe even the man in yellow was one of the sons of one of the Tabithas in a previous life. That's very interesting that he, along with Thomas and Ethan. And I think that's a very interesting theory. Definitely not one I have heard before. I love hearing some new theories, something that we haven't, dived into really before. But no, I mean, I've never really kind of considered this. I've never really thought of it this way. But I love hearing these new perspectives. And again, I suppose anything is possible. Could the man in yellow have been human at one point? Could he have been one of the original sons of one of the earlier Tabithas, and that is his true origin? I suppose it's as plausible as any other theory we've heard from the man in yellow up until this point. But no, I think that's an interesting theory that they are all one and the same, maybe.
Yeah, I like it. And I see in the chat, KP Dita is giving you some proof of this. There is a line that says, when the man in yellow talks to Tabitha, do you know who I am? You haven't figured out that part yet. So he could potentially, in your theory, he is her son. He could potentially be saying, like, do you remember I'm your son?
Do you remember I'm your kid?
Yeah. I mean, he's the boy in white gone rogue. He's the scribe that was given this position, but instead of being like Victor, instead of being like the boy in white and doing his duty, he decided, no, F this. I'm not going to do my duty. I'm going to like make a bargain. I'm going to do something else. I like it. I like your theory. I think it's you have evidence for that, and I'm sure if you go through it, you could find even more evidence that's what it might be. I like it. I do.
I like it. I like it too. I think it's an interesting theory. It's one I certainly haven't considered before. And again, I do love hearing new theories, especially new theories that fit within the confines of some of the story points that we're actually seeing. So no, I think this is interesting. Yeah, it's posted in the Discord. Anybody who's a member of the Discord, if you want to read the whole thing, it's in its entirety. It's right there. It's the newest post in the Discord under the tinfoil theory section. So if you guys want to read it and check it out more, dive into it a little bit, create some conversation behind it, let everybody know some of your thoughts and theories. Let's know what you guys think about that. Because I think it's an interesting possibility. Again, there's so much we don't know about this man in yellow character, who he really is. Where did he really come from? What is his true connection to all of this, to these cycles, to the parents, to the monsters, to Jade, to Tabitha? No, I think that's a very interesting possibility that he might even be a potential son of Tabitha from a previous cycle that has, as you mentioned, gone dark, gone rogue, gone astray, gone down the route where he wanted to grab for power instead of doing the right thing. I think that's interesting. I mean, it's a very interesting possibility.
I like it. I like your theory, and I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna go on the Discord. I like to get on there sometimes and just like talk to you guys. We're on there like at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Hey, I think I know who Eloise is. Just insane that Discord is. But
it's so
thank
fun.
You so much.
It's super fun. Yeah. But no, I like this. Again, I like hearing new theories, especially ones that speak that they could very well be possible. Very well be possible. Wow. Awesome stuff, Blitzkrieg. Awesome stuff, my friend. And I owe you a well-deserved one. So awesome. Yeah, is the man in yellow potentially a previous son of Tabitha? I like that. I think that's a good theory. I think that is a good theory, Blitzkrieg. And
But
again,
you
it's
know,
not like we have to
Jeremy,
be reincarnations, and that's why I like it. I don't know if that's where Blitzkrieg was going with it, but seeing as they might be alive at the same time, they don't necessarily have to be reincarnations of each other, but the same character repeating over and over again, like they are the same person, just not necessarily reincarnations. But they could be, again, or similar to how Victor and Ethan are, always the sons of Tabitha. I like it. I think it's cool. I think it could offer a very interesting and unexpected origin for the Man in Yellow. I think a lot of people are expecting the Man in Yellow to have this deep, dark, kind of nefarious origin, but what if he doesn't? What if it is a little more along the lines of something like this? I think it could be an interesting twist on the character.
mm-hmm.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, and last but not least, we have Michael for $2. Thank you so much, Michael. How did Sophia know where Roger was, but not Suit? Again, I feel like it's very interesting knowing what Sophia knows and what she doesn't know. Like, I feel like at times it almost seems like she knows things that she shouldn't be able to know from across town. Like how she knew Sarah didn't kind of do the whole water thing that she asked Sarah to do. She kind of could sense Sarah didn't do it and throws herself into the fucking pool because she knew Sarah didn't do it for some reason. And
I
then
love that. She's so shady.
She's so extra, so extra. And then in other scenes, we see her kind of digging through drawers and like looking for things, almost like she doesn't quite know certain things. So I feel like at times it's kind of inconsistent in terms of like how omnipotent she is, how aware of things she is. Sometimes it seems like she's very aware of things, and sometimes it seems like she's not super aware. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, how did Sophia know where Roger is? Maybe she just sensed his body. She could just sense his corpse in the shed.
Yeah. Michael, I like the question. And I mean, this is where the tinfoil comes in. I believe that she's an astro necromancer. She is not a god. She's not a deity. She's not all knowing. If she doesn't overhear things, she doesn't necessarily know what's going on. She needs to be able to be around, or she needs to be able to do an incantation in order for her to know what you're up to. So if she's not doing this little spell, she's not going to know. That's why she goes around and she looks for the suit. She's like, I thought it was really interesting too, because she's looking through the drawers like a regular human, like a person. It's like, dude, aren't you supposed to be this deity? No, apparently not. I think that this is a astro necromancer, hermetic witch that is between the moon and earth, because that's what they believe. I know that demons, or we think, we don't know. We think that demons are underground in hell, right at the bottom. The Hermetic people, they believe that the demons lived underneath the moon, above earth. So up in that air. And that's why I think that she prays to Capricorn. If you were a necromancer the medieval times and you wanted to do the worst of stuff, you would pray to Capricorn. You would entice Capricorn with vile and with rotten things. That is how you would entice the demons of Capricorn to do your bidding. And so I believe that is why she does incantations. That is why she seems to be praying to something. That is why she needs ingredients. She can't just whip it up out of nowhere. She needs ingredients, and then she needs to convey with Capricorn, this is what I want to happen. I want to bring Roger back to life, bring him back to life. And so then it happens. That's my explanation for it. But, then again, tinfoil, I don't know that that's what it is. But she seems to be not quite human, not quite demon.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It is starting to seem, the more we learn about her, the less it's starting to seem like it's this cosmic deity type thing, like we maybe originally thought. And that it is somewhere around, witchcraft, this magic that this character, summons and uses. Yes, they're very adept at it. They're very well practiced and well knowledged in the arts, but it is still something that they have to conjure. It's not something that they just have inside them that they can just do at will. Like you said, it's spells, it's old magic. They need incantations, ingredients, certain things in order to kind of reach into the natural forces of the earth, the natural elements of the earth to kind of draw power from. So yeah, it does seem more and more like it's not this kind of cosmic type thing that we thought it might be.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I love this. I wonder if Jeremy knows it. South Facing Glad says, "Not quite a girl, not yet a demon." That's a Britney Spears song. Do you know that song, Jeremy?
I don't know.
I'm
If I heard,
not a
if I
girl,
heard it. Oh yeah,
not
yeah.
yet a demon. I just need some time. And that is what she needs. She's like, hey, give me a little bit
Maybe,
of time so I could become full demon.
maybe she needs to go full demon. And speaking of demons, we got Michael for another 5. Thank you so much, Michael. Very much appreciated. PM, if a demon were to possess someone, do they live in our realm or either underground / between the moon from your understanding? Demons that are possessing humans on Earth, you mean? Like what realm do they live in? Interesting. I mean, I think there's evidence that they can move between both. But what do you think, PM? This one's for you.
Okay. And I want to make sure that I'm understanding it. So if you could just clarify, if a demon were to possess someone, do they live in our realm or underground between the moon? Okay. So if it's possessing a human, if you conjure up a demon, because the Hermetic people, you pray to Capricorn and you entice them. So you bring vial and things, and then you do your chant. And let's say that a demon does show up. If the demon possesses you, usually the demon shows up to do your bidding, or you bind the demon. You put him in a jar. You bind that demon to do your bidding. He doesn't necessarily possess you. But let's say that he did. You would still be on Earth because you are in your material bodily self.
Mm-hmm.
The demon doesn't have a body. So if it possesses you, you cannot be up there in the plane of existence that they believe Satan operated in. You would have to be here still on Earth until that body dies. Then the demon could return to its realm, to Capricorn. So the Hermetic people were really interesting because instead of naming Lucifer, the ruler of hell and the underground, they said he was the morning star. Right next to the moon, the morning star, the ruler of the air. So they didn't have him down there. It is until Christianity that we put Lucifer underground and we make all of these, Dante's Inferno layers, and we put him all the way at the end. But he was a fallen star, and they still revered him as a fallen star. He was still up there. He was just underneath the moon. Fallen. Instead of being up there with the stars that are above the moon, he was underneath it with all of his demons and his army of demons. So that's what would happen if a demon was possessing Sophia. Then yeah, this is what she would exhibit. She would not be 100% human. She would have some powers, but she would still bleed. We saw that she bleeds, right?
Yeah.
So I think that she is somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, doesn't not as powerful as we initially thought she might be, but still pretty powerful. Definitely still very powerful, very capable, but seemingly relying more on the natural elements of the earth rather than just having raw power inside of her because she's so powerful. It doesn't seem like we're seeing that anymore. Seems like she's drawing her power from nature. But yeah, no, again, a demon possession is an interesting possibility. Not just, and even not just demon, but is Sophia potentially possessed by something? This Man in Yellow character, whatever it is that how it originally got like this? Did something originally inhabit it as a vessel? Who knows? Maybe. But thank you so much, Michael, for the 5. Very, very much appreciate you, my friend. And I owe you. Oh, whoa. Woes. All right, awesome stuff. Now, there was one thing I did want to discuss a little bit because I feel like we got some really good character development in this episode, and for a lot of characters, really, but in particular for Victor. And I feel like we finally got like our first, or at least our closest look at the insight as to what Victor really fucking went through in this place. Like, I feel like we really saw a really good kind of level of trauma that this poor person really had to go through, the things that he had to resort to just in order to keep himself halfway sane, not from just completely losing it. I mean, he's already super damaged. And I think we're seeing in this episode and in this scene in particular, a really good insight as to why Victor is so damaged. Like, this was such a heartbreaking scene to hear some of the things that we heard from Victor here, and some of the things that he had to do to survive, some of the things that the boy in white told him to do. Advice that he got from the boy in white, which again could even further potentially point to the boy in white being in a similar position at some point himself, alone in this place. But I thought this was just so interesting and gave us such a deep, profound insight into Victor as a character and what has shaped him, the things that he really has gone through. Because we often wonder, it must have been like hell for Victor going through this nightmare, living in this place for 40 plus years by yourself. We always assume it must have been a nightmare, but you always wonder, what exactly did that nightmare look like? What exactly did he really actually have to go through on a day-to-day basis? And here we got our best look at that, I feel, with, you know, just these little things where he's trying to teach Ethan how to survive on his own. First thing he talks to him about is a food source. And now we got the origin of the peach trucks and how Victor found the peach truck in the first place. The boy in white showed it to him. But then it gets a little bit darker, a little bit more, just not darker, just kind of sad. You know, you really feel for someone like Victor. And this is where the loneliness aspect of it kind of creeps in, where Victor talks about, out of everything that's happened here, the loneliness is the worst part of it. And he heard some advice from the boy in white in terms of things that he can do to combat that loneliness. And Victor, gave Ethan some of his examples of what he did. He would name the cars. He would give the box on a street a name. He would pretend that these were all people that he would see on a daily basis, just so he felt like he wasn't alone. And that, again, for me, that just gave me such an interesting look into the insight of Victor, and gives you just that much better of an idea as to why he is like this, why he is so damaged, the guilt that he's lived with, the loneliness that he's had to suffer, and the things that he has had to do just to keep himself remotely sane in this place. So I loved this scene. I thought this was such a good insight into, the very core, the very foundation of what has made Victor Victor, and also a very grim kind of warning for Ethan, a very, unfortunate but very real possibility that this could also happen to Ethan. And as we hear Victor kind of reciting these things, you see Tabitha gets to the point where she just can't take it anymore. Hearing Victor talking about naming these dolls that he put his mom's sweater on, like, you could see how personal this got for Victor, where he made literal avatars for his parents wearing their own freaking clothes, his mom and Eloise. And it's so sad. And you see like just how deep the damage really went for Victor being left alone in this place for as long as he was here. And you can see Tabitha kind of seeing all this in real time. And just the thought of this ever happening to Ethan is like, unfathomable to her, but it is a possibility. This is something that is very real. As tough as this is for Ethan to hear, for Tabitha to hear, this is a possibility. But I love this. I thought this was a really good peeling of the layers on the character of Victor, and really showing us just how deep some of that damage really is, and some of the things that he had to do just to make it through the fucking day was so sad to see.
It was so sad. I mean, I was laughing when I did this monologue of his had me up and down and everywhere emotionally. And at the end, I wanted to cry, but I did kind of laugh at him a little because he's like doing this whole monologue, right? And he goes, I used to name the boxes, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And then he's like, but you will not have to do that.
You
And then
don't
he
have to
comes
do
around
that.
with these two dolls, and I laughed. I cracked up. I was like, "Oh my god, this is better." He's like, "I got something better."
I guess something
I
better.
laughed,
know.
and then he explains, "This is my mother and my sister." And then I was like down again. I was like, "Jesus Christ, please!" I was down again, and I thought that is the saddest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And for a while, I would talk to them and imagine what they would say to me. And for a
Yeah.
while, it felt like they were with me. I was like, oh, Victor, you're killing me. You're making it hard to laugh right now at the dollies.
Mhm.
It was so sad. But let me tell you what I found appalling, disgusting and appalling as a mother. Tabitha, she is so unhelpful. Tabitha
Yeah.
is so horrible as a parent. In my opinion,
Mhm.
I've always said the worst type of parent is a coward. You could not be a coward. You could not be a coward. A coward doesn't make a good parent. Okay. You're bringing people into this world. You better buckle up and step up. You brought them here. It is your
Give them the tools they're
responsibility.
going to need. Yeah.
Fake it till you make it. And Tabitha has been a problem to Victor and Ethan. She is not helpful. She's complaining. She is the one that's acting like a child. These
Mhm.
two kids, because Victor is a child trapped in this man's body,
Yeah.
these two children have way more maturity and realistic expectations of the world of from than she does.
Yeah.
She's complaining. Look at her in that couch, like giving them attitude, like, oh, are we serious about this? She doesn't want Ethan to get any of this knowledge. She's being unrealistic, and she doesn't want him
Elderly.
to get the knowledge because she can't stomach
Yeah.
hearing what Victor went through. That's a
Yeah.
coward.
Yeah.
Now, she's so messed up. She's a horrible I don't want to say horrible mother, but she's a horrible helper right now. She's being a horrible helper, okay? She's complaining and making things way harder for both of them. She's acting like a child. But the worst thing, the thing that got me, where I said, Tabitha, you know what? Fuck you, Tabitha. Fuck you, this episode. She goes over with Ethan, and in front of Victor, Victor is literally staring at them. She goes over to Ethan. Victor believes that that is his mother's soul. And she says, yeah, that happened to him, but I'm not going to let that happen to you.
Mhm.
This will not happen to you. I will make sure that you get out of here. This will not happen to you. When Victor's standing right there, I was like, dude, you're his mom. You're literally saying to one of your child, yeah, that happened to you, but you are special, Ethan. I'm going to save you. Like, your
Mhm.
mom tried to save you too, but like she couldn't, but I'm going to save you. It's like those two are your children because you're a reincarnated soul. And you're literally in front of one that went through so much pain and suffering instead of acknowledging, damn, Victor, that was like so bad that you went through all of this. You're telling the other one, yeah, that was bad, but don't worry. I will not let it happen to you. I mean,
Mhm.
how heartbreaking for Victor to hear that. And he says, my mother thought that too. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that she tried. I'm sure that she tried, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to save all of you. I think that I was brought here to save all of you. So I
Mhm.
do think, in accomplishing the goal of saving the Ankui children, of course, she gets to save Victor. She gets to save Ethan. She gets to save the
Yeah.
future scribes that would have come into from. She gets to save Julie. She
Mhm.
gets to save the little boy in white, who's the original son of hers. So she gets to save all of her sons that are currently in from. But I just thought that is so fucked up, dude. Like Victor's standing right there and she says, yeah, that happened to him, but it's not going to happen to you because I'm going to save you. You're never going to have to go through that. You don't need this, basically. You don't need this information. And that was like a gut punch. It was like Victor is literally right there and he knows that you are his mother's soul. You couldn't be at least nice. Also, she's a liar. She told Julie, when Julie said, that's not true, mom. You are not this soul reincarnated. She said, it is true, Julie. It is true. So privately, she accepts that it's true. If she is the soul reincarnated, she should have this love for Victor that the previous version of her had. And she's treating Victor so badly. Like the way that she's talking to him, she's lying. She's not really saying this is true. She's like, oh, I have her memories. Why don't you tell him that you also have her feelings? That you also love him? Why do you just say I have her memories and we'll get out of here because of that? Is that you are refusing to give them any love, Tabitha? But just my opinion.
No, I mean it was. I mean, yeah, it's I see what you mean. Her kind of just turning to Ethan and saying, don't worry, Ethan, that's not going to happen to you. It's like, oh shit, okay, thanks. I get that. I definitely get that. It almost seems like she kind of noticed that mistake as well. Like she kind of made that mistake as well. And then she kind of turned it into like, oh, I was meant here to save all of you. I was meant here to save all of you. I was meant to bring both of you home. And by the end of the scene, she kind of takes both of their hand, almost like she's kind of finally accepting that like Victor is in some way her son. But no, at the beginning of the scene, yeah, it was kind of just only focused on Ethan. And it wasn't until the very end of the scene that she finally had the epiphany and realized that it's not just about Ethan. You should be wanting to save Victor as well. You should want to get this traumatized child out of this place just as much as you want to get Ethan out of this place. And it took her a while to remember that. It took her a little bit to come to that realization. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it'll be interesting to see where she goes from here. Is she going to kind of finally have that newfound motivation to actually do something? Because she hasn't really done much this season, unfortunately. She's kind of just been kind of pushing away this information, not really fully accepting it. It's slowly coming to terms with it being real. But she hasn't actually done anything. She hasn't attempted anything this season with any of this information. Will this finally be the catalyst that gets her to finally join back up with Jade and start helping him, you think?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing with Julie. So what is going to motivate Julie to stop smoking weed and stop being lazy and actually do something is Ethan. The fact that, hey, realistic Victor is saying the truth. That is just the realism of what it is. Like, you could think and hope I'm gonna save you, and then again, I thought it was funny that she was telling him the story. What did she do at the beginning, guys? She grabbed the Nkui children and she's like, I'm gonna save you. This is not gonna happen to you. You're not gonna get sacrificed. I will save you. So she was doing the same thing to Ethan, promising salvation that she cannot guarantee.
Yeah.
She is writing a check that she can cash again, like she did to the Nkui children. So I believe that what's going to unite all of these people is Ethan. Little baby Ethan is the person that's encouraging Victor to be courageous, hopefully his mother to be courageous, and Julie. They're going to try to keep him from the fate of seeing everybody die around him and staying alive. Who does that remind you of? The goat, Alma. Ethan said, please kill Alma first, because the worst thing that could happen is that she remains alive and sees all her friends die in front of her. So I think, he's going to be the uniting part for these people.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that happening as well. Because again, Tabitha, she's not done much. She has not, ever since she learned this information at the end of season 3, she really hasn't done next to anything with it yet, actually. So hopefully this is going to be the thing that gets her kind of into the game finally. Get Tabby into the freaking game. But yeah, Henry, of course, the hallucinations getting worse and worse. We touched on this a little bit already, but I think Henry's finally getting to that point where he is really starting to entertain a very real possibility that this is the reality. This is actually what's really happening, and everything that is happening in Fromville really is some kind of dream. And we hear how there's only way that you can kind of sever this connection, and that is to sever your connection to that place. Which, PM, you talked about it in the past, that maybe Sophia is trying to get Henry to manipulate Henry into killing Victor. And we often kind of theorize that maybe Victor is one of these characters that the Man in Yellow just can't kill himself directly. So how do you come up with a workaround? How do you come up with some kind of loophole to get Victor off the board? Well, maybe this is the Sophia's plan to get Victor off the board.
Yeah, I think 100% this is fake. Okay, this is 100%
This is
fake.
definitely fake. I'm with you. And that has been a big theory. You're right. Like, there has been a big portion of the fandom that have been wondering, like, okay, is this proof that they really are all in a dream? No, I don't think that is even slightly the case. I think this is very clearly Sophia's blood working on Henry. And like you said, the whole fucking room is yellow. Like, it couldn't be more clear that this is manipulation.
Yes. Wait, sorry, I forgot what I was gonna say. The doctor, the
Yeah.
doctor. This was really
Mhm.
interesting because the doctor, 100%, this is fake.
Yeah.
If this is a hospice place, I'm like Henry. I'm all for seeing Victor with a tie and a suit. I think it's really nice.
Looks
I
great.
love seeing him like that. I love the idea that he got married and had a child and that he's normal, like quote unquote normal, because again, everybody's normal in their own way.
Oh, yeah.
But just like I'm like Henry, I love this idea. It's very nice. This doctor told us it's fake, and I'll tell you why. The doctor
Yeah.
tells him, this is what you have to do. You are stuck in between here, but you keep going there.
Mhm.
What we need you to do is to sever the anchor that is keeping you there so that you could remain here. First of all, a doctor would never tell you that. Second
No.
of all,
Oh my God, no.
the prognosis of Henry was you took acid a long time ago and it messed you up, which can happen.
It
It
can.
can
It very
happen.
well can happen.
It
Yep.
can permanently, it could
Mhm.
permanently cause damage.
Yeah.
Now, not to get personal, but I did have a cousin who this happened to. So I clocked it because this happened in my family.
Mhm.
My cousin was at NYU and he took, some drugs, and they permanently gave him schizophrenia, hallucinations, and he ended up taking his life because it was too much.
Mm.
Now, when this happens to you, you can't fix it. There is no fix. There is no sever the anchor whenever you see the hallucinations.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
have to cut what is keeping you there. That is not true. If she's
Mhm.
a medical doctor, then she understands that what acid did was hijack the serotonin function in the brain. And by hijacking, it has created a storm, a neural storm every time that they see these hallucinations. And you can't
Mhm.
stop that. That's not something that you can stop. So, her telling him, oh, you could do this, just go ahead and sever the anchor. That's not a medical professional speaking. You would never give somebody the hope that your hallucinations that come from a permanent drug induced
Yeah.
serotonin hijack
Crazy.
of your brain could be something that you could undo. Otherwise, everybody would do it. I mean, so that I clocked it. I'm like, you're not a doctor. You would
No.
never say that. And
No.
Victor, if he is this educated man that we see him to be, he seems like very well to do. He would know, like, doctor, that's not real.
Yeah,
My
doctor, that
father
doesn't
cannot
sound about right.
fix.
Yeah.
Yeah, my father cannot fix what has
Can we get a
happened to
second
his
opinion here?
serotonin system by simply severing things. Otherwise, why has he been there so long? If the
Mhm.
doctor says this is the longest you've come in and out, so you've had an opportunity to tell him this and he didn't do it before. I mean, when you look at it,
The whole
that
thing
doctor
is
was
nuts.
not giving him
Yeah.
medical information.
Yeah. No, the whole thing is very, again, the yellow is the dead giveaway too. Like it's a complete yellow room surrounded by yellow here. Yeah, again, this is Sophia's blood at work in Henry's bloodstream, manipulating him into doing her bidding, which seems to be potentially trying to take Victor off the board. And that's what I see. Again, I don't think this is any indication that this is actually some kind of dream world that they're all stuck in. No chance. Especially not Henry's. Like, what? This is all just in Henry's head? No way. There's no way. But that's just my opinion. Again, who knows what's really going on? But when I see all the yellow in the room and you see how sus this is, and again, we know that Sophia gave Henry her blood. I think it's pretty clear that this is just hallucinations that Henry is going through. But yeah, I guess we'll see. The real question, at least for me, the ultimate question is, will Sophia ultimately be able to get Henry to take that step? Will Henry be pushed far enough where he truly does believe that severing this quote unquote anchor will get him to this world that he wants to get to more and more so bad? So I guess that's the question I have going forward. Will this actually work? Will Henry really make an attempt on Victor's life? I don't know. We have Sunflower for 5. Thank you so much, Sunflower. Very much appreciate it. I'm hoping Eloise shows up in the dream. Wondering, would it be someone already in From? Is the creator using this dream to stage to us who Eloise is? And that would, I mean, I suppose that would be interesting, if nothing else, if like Eloise finally gets there from like her plane and we turn around and it's like fucking Donna or something. I'm not really expecting something like that personally. But I don't know. I mean, I suppose it's a very interesting possibility. If nothing else, it would be kind of funny. Turn the corner, it's just like fucking Donna or something. But no, I'm not really expecting it. But definitely an interesting question.
I really like that, Sunflower. I like it because let's say if I was a man in yellow, I don't even have to show you the real Eloise. I'm trying to get you to kill these people. He's showing him a version of Victor that he loves. He even mentions it's so nice in this world. He wears a suit and a tie. So I would show him another person that I want him to
Another
kill
familiar face.
and
Yeah.
say, yeah,
Yeah.
like Donna. Donna is Eloise. It doesn't have to be real. It doesn't have to be true.
Mhm.
Clara's not in From because guess what? She's on
Where's
a
Clara
plane.
then? This is where she's been the whole time. Yeah.
She's on a plane. Tilly, I don't know. You could show
Hmm.
him anybody that you want, and the doctor is saying you just need to sever the anchor. What is the anchor? His family. Why doesn't he want to leave From? Because he has this Victor there. He feels responsible for this Victor. Victor
Mhm.
is the anchor. He's the thing that would keep him there.
Yeah.
Other than that, who does he live for? You see that he tells Victor, hey, we don't need to listen to this when Boyd is telling them the reality of the place. Come on, Victor. So it's
Yeah.
him and Victor. If you want him to take out another person, then yes, Sunflower, I will use Eloise, make her be a character that I also want him to kill, and then be like, yeah, just, sever the connection, sever the connection.
Yeah, maybe. But no, I think that's an interesting idea, if nothing else. If Eloise finally gets there after landing on her plane and we see it's a familiar face, if nothing else. But thank you so much, Sunflower, for the 5. Very much appreciate it. And I owe you a whoa. Oh, awesome stuff. And will Henry figure it out? I guess that is the 2 possibilities. I mean, Henry, again, like we were saying in the pregame show, Henry seems to be at this crossroad right now where he has 2 kind of possibilities that he can go down. Yes, will he figure this out? Will he ultimately start to realize that this dream world isn't quite lining up quite? Is he going to start to get some kind of notion that something's off here? Or is Sophia going to get her way? And will Henry actually make an attempt on Victor's life? I think that'll be interesting to see where it goes. But yeah, I'm hoping Henry will figure it out. But then again, I could just as easily see this ending in Henry's death, where Henry does make an attempt on Victor's life but gets killed in the process. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. What's in store for poor Henry.
Yeah. I mean, this is my opinion, okay? Not to cast judgment. I'm just using the information that we have to predict the future. That is how you predict what will happen. You look at the pattern, it will probably repeat itself. That's how humans are.
Yeah.
Like in nature, those people that cannot adjust will not survive. If
Yeah.
you're not mentally strong enough to adjust to whatever condition you're living, in nature, you just do not survive. And you
Mhm.
need to be mentally strong. What's happening right now to Henry is very much mental manipulation. It's going to
Yeah.
be about what he believes and the strength that he has to figure this out. No shade to people who suffer with the disease of alcoholism. I have that in my family. Okay.
Mhm.
So I understand what it's like to be affected by the disease of alcoholism. And I look upon you, with kindness. It's hard. But if you have something like that going on, it is hard to muster up mental strength because that's already hijacking. You don't have the mental strength. It takes a lot for somebody that goes towards alcohol to leave alcohol. And it's so damaging to them, and they still can't. So it shows you that mentally, it's not necessarily they don't have that strength, that mental strength. And I'm wondering if Henry, he's trying to get sober. We see that they make a big deal out of, about it in this episode. He's like,
Mhm.
hey, can I chop veggies? Because I
Yeah.
need to chop veggies, otherwise I'm gonna drink.
Yeah.
He has a lot going on. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
No judgment, but he has a lot going on.
Yeah.
Okay, he has to deal with this drinking thing. Now he's dealing with the anchor and severing this. That it does not make for a mentally strong person. He's probably gonna fail.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think we've been kind of had a little bit of foreshadowing of this directly from Victor, even as well. When Victor's talking to Ethan, and they're both talking about how, how strong their mothers are, how strong Tabitha is, how strong Miranda was, and how Victor straight up says he doesn't think that his father is strong like that. And we have seen that. I think we've seen that to be the case, that mentally, psychologically, he's not as strong as maybe Miranda and Tabitha have been. So yeah, I think I just don't see this ending very well for Henry. I feel like Henry's been narratively living on borrowed time ever since he brought Tabitha back to Fromville. So yeah, I just don't see this ending very well for him. I do not see them surviving this in the long run. But again, yeah, and anything is possible in Fromville. This is very true. Anything is possible in Fromville. Okay. But yeah, again, this was a good episode. This episode through again, it wasn't a high intensity episode. I had a feeling it wasn't going to be a high intensity episode, but we did get a decent amount of information. We got some good character driven moments, and that was really fun to see. Again, the character development, the reveals, the layers that they pulled back on Victor in this episode, everything that we got to see him go through, everything we got to see him reveal about just how he had to survive here, the things he had to do to stay somewhat, even halfway sane in this place, was super heartbreaking. A lot of characters coming to realizations. Tabitha kind of finally coming to the realization that it's not just about Ethan, that this is about Victor as well. Because it was kind of harsh in the beginning, her just saying, "Oh, don't worry, Ethan, that's not going to happen to you. That only happened to Victor. It's not going to happen to you, though." That is kind of harsh, when you look at it in hindsight. When Victor's standing right fucking there with that look on his face, like, what the fuck? So yeah, I think she needs to come to some realizations as well. I think she needs to start kind of getting into the game, and hopefully this will be the thing that spurs her into doing that. But yeah, I think we got a lot of good character development as well. But we got some really good things with Boyd in this episode. And we always do. Harold Perrineau he's just so good on this show, and he really is one of the best actors. But we got some really good stuff from Boyd in this episode as well, where he is also coming to these realizations, where he needs to kind of come to terms with things himself, things that he's still struggling with, like, of course, the death of Abby. So I feel like this was very much the episode of characters coming to realizations, characters, finally looking inside themselves for answers that have been there from the very beginning. They just haven't really been able to see until they knew where to look. And I think we saw a lot of that with a lot of our characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be about mental fortitude, because it seems like by now we have seen a pattern. This is how the Man in Yellow operates. He's going to manipulate you, but it is up to you to fall into the manipulation. When we see what has happened to Henry now is going through very troubling time because he has consumed Sophia's blood.
Mm-hmm.
He had many opportunities to not consume her blood. In fact, Sophia asked him if he would pour the drink. And guess what? She didn't just grab the bottle and pour it and drink it. She held out her cup, and he decided, I'll pour the drink. Then she asked another bottle, and he said, I don't have it in me. He says something really interesting. His quote is, I can muster up.
Yeah, I don't have it in with me to disagree with you
no.
here. Yeah.
Which is like, he's already saying, I'm a very weak person. I don't have it in me to fight you.
Mm-hmm.
They go for a second bottle. Then she gets cut. She doesn't just pour her blood on the cup. If you notice, she gets cut and she shows it to Henry and she says, this is bad. And Henry says, "Oh, no, no, it's fine." He grabs any dirty rag from the back of the bar and wraps it up. And he's like, "No, this is totally fine." If he had said, or he had stopped at any one of those moments that Sophia gave him the opportunity to walk away and said, "Go to
Question.
Christy. You shouldn't have been drinking. I'm not going to do a second bottle." She would have never had the opportunity to pour blood in his cup. So
Mhm.
what's happening to Henry, really, it's about mental fortitude. It's about the choices that you're making.
Yeah.
I don't want to blame the victim, but blame the victim. If you
No,
hadn't been
and
drinking with her, this wouldn't have happened.
and that was the ultimate question. Was this ultimately a choice that Henry chose himself? Did Sophia go into that bar with the sole intention of always throwing her blood in there to poison Henry? Or did she go in there testing him? Was this a test in a sense that Henry failed? And again, if Henry would have chosen not to drink with Sophia, would have things maybe played out a little bit differently, is one thing I've wondered. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll never know, because it seems like if it was a test, Henry failed it, and not just at the beginning, but he had multiple choices to turn around, and he never did. So maybe it was a choice. Maybe we're seeing cause and effect from characters making actual choices and having to live with the consequences of those choices. And Sophia setting characters up in certain situations where they have to make those choices. Very kind of playing the long game manipulation from Sophia, if that was the case. But yeah, again, I don't think it's going to end very well for him. At the end of the day, I think Henry is really screwed here one way or another. I don't see this ending very well. But yeah. And then, of course, we get that final scene with Tabitha, where she gets the phone call. And, of course, we were wondering who was going to be the voice on the other end of the phone call. Was it going to be Jim? Was it going to be Thomas? And lo and behold, it was Thomas, or the man in yellow pretending to be Thomas. And again, I know we talked about this earlier, but it was just so fun to see Doug again. It was just so fun to see the original Man in Yellow. Again, me personally, I very much enjoy this version of the character a little bit better than the Sophia version. Not that I don't like Sophia, but I do prefer the Man in Yellow version, just because I feel like it's a more complete character. I feel like it's more menacing. I feel like it's scarier. I feel like it's more kind of fleshed out. For me, it's just a more intriguing villain. And yeah, sometimes the visual aesthetics do have something to do with that. I mean, the bright yellow suit does make him that much more intriguing. So it was really cool to see the Man in Yellow again, and him kind of not just see him again, but actually really get to this interesting kind of conclusion here, where it seems like the Man in Yellow is maybe even excited, maybe kind of looking forward to seeing what could potentially happen next, because it seems like he is in a cycle now where this Jade and this Tabitha are doing things that none of the Jade and Tabithas have ever even thought about doing, let alone attempted or completed. And again, you see the smile on the Man in Yellow's face. You see him delivering this and talking about this information with Tabitha. You just got the sense, or at least I kind of just got the sense, that he was a little bit excited, a little bit intrigued about the possibility of maybe not knowing what's coming around the corner for the first time. Because if I was the Man in Yellow, no matter how powerful I am, no matter how in control of these cycles he might potentially be, it's still watching the same old thing over and over and over and over and over again. After a while, that has to get a little bit kind of boring, for lack of a better term. Like that can't be sustainable indefinitely. So I think the prospect of something new happening, something different happening this time, seemed to really kind of intrigue the Man in Yellow here. And I hope we see more of him. I hope that this wasn't the only cameo we get to see. Not cameo. I hope this isn't the only appearance we get to see of the Man in Yellow again. We got 2 episodes left. We know that Sophia / Man in Yellow has retrieved his suit, so he can technically kind of go back and forth in between these 2 forms anytime he wants now. So I'm looking forward to this, and hopefully we get to see the reveal. We only have 2 episodes left now, guys, and I really am hoping that the Man in Yellow reveal, or the Sophia reveal, does happen this season. I would love to see them go into season 5 with them already knowing who Sophia is, who the Man in Yellow is, and that reveal happening. To continue this undercover Sophia thing into season 5, I think would be a huge mistake. And that would be a really good way to end the season on an interesting note and set up an even intense kind of setting for season 5, where now everything's out in the open. Now they know who the man in yellow is. They know that he's out there. Now they're going to be on the defense a lot more. I think it just add a very interesting, intense aspect to the final season where they know that they're under constant 24/7 threat of danger, not just at night, but during the day as well. So hopefully we do get that reveal and they do find out who the man in yellow is this season. But yeah, I thought this was a pretty fun episode. Again, not action-packed, not super intense, but we got a pretty good amount of information and some pretty good character development. And yeah, just on my first viewing, I enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was great. It was an episode that really felt like From again. I don't know if it's because Doug is back, right? He did an amazing job.
Amazing.
And he took away singing a little tune. But it felt like From again because there are questions. I know that we have been given a lot of answers lately and not enough questions. And the thing about From is that we kind of do love. We are gluttons for punishment. We love them giving us questions and not the answer. We just do. That is the truth. And this time around with this episode, we have a lot of new questions. Like, what the hell is happening with Henry? Now, we did skip over something that I want to touch on very briefly.
Okay, yep.
We skipped over Henry and his song, the blue song.
Okay, the blue song. Okay, gotcha.
And I like to look for evidence of other people's theories, whether I think that they're going to happen or not. I look for the evidence, I give it to you. For the people that believe that Camden, Maine was fake, a fugazi, that it was not real and that she never went to the real world, you can use this as evidence that she never went to the real world. Because when Henry has this vision of himself in Camden, Maine, with the song, he tells Tabitha, oh, this car does that sometimes. It plays this song. It was our song. So the song suddenly starts to play in the car just like it starts to play in the diner. That could be an indication. That could be proof that if the car is doing it and it did it right when Tabitha and Henry were there, they never left From. This was just another version of From. Because why is the car acting like the diner? Why? It wouldn't act like the diner unless there was some influence. So if you believe that Camden, Maine was made-believe, they never left the From world, they were never in the real world, this is evidence.
Interesting. Yeah, for all the Camden, Maine wasn't real theorists, maybe this is something else to chew on. I don't know. But yeah, again, I think I think Henry saying that the tape has been stuck in the deck for 20 years could kind of just explain it. But like you said, the Camden, Maine theory was a super popular one when this episode first came out, and now we're seeing Henry in this coma, him questioning his reality. So yeah, I could see them easily, and I get why Sophia would tie it back to this. Start playing that song and tie it back to something like this to maybe even make Henry think that much more that he was in some kind of, dream state this whole time. Just another kind of really strange coincidence, I guess, that he might kind of see as a sign, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see where Henry goes. Will he ultimately figure out that this is an illusion? Will he ultimately figure out that he's being played here? Or will he fall into the trap? Will he actually make an attempt on Victor's life? I could see him easily, going off the deep end, making an attempt on Victor's life, not killing Victor, but end up getting killed in the process, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But I think Henry is not too long for the show. Personally, I do think this is ultimately going to be his doom.
Yeah. And just very briefly to touch on it before we go, there was somebody in the chat. If it was you, remind me. This was a while ago, but there was so much happening. Somebody made an excellent point about Ethan and Victor. It is understandable if the original son of Tabitha and Jade only wrote in hieroglyphics, because at the time that is the language that they used in order to interpret what was happening, to write history.
Yeah.
But Victor and Ethan could write a book. They know how to write verbally, how to say things so that you don't have to go crazy trying to interpret what the little
Interpret the
pictures
drawing,
mean.
but they do the
And
drawing anyway. Yeah.
one of you guys in the chat said, Ethan, if he knows that he's the scribe, he could write a book. Stop using pictures and crayon and write, this is what happened. 2 cars came in, a man in yellow. He was wearing a yellow suit, and then it was Sophia, and then I killed everybody, and then I was alone. So that you don't have to just interpret a picture, because that is so much more difficult. But
Well,
I believe, and it was Blitzkrieg Bop who said that in the chat. I thought that was an excellent observation. And the reason, or the answer, I believe, is because this is from the Hermetic, religion. It comes from Egypt. They did not use words, they use hieroglyphics. And so there must be a consensus and from that if you are to write down history, you do it with pictures, the modern day hieroglyphics. Maybe that would answer why they don't just use words. If I was the writer, that's the way that I would elegantly say, this is why they can't make a book, because they must use hieroglyphics. They must do what happened at the beginning. The little boy in white used hieroglyphics, so every single scribe has to paint pictures. But I thought that your observation was brilliant. Victor could have just stopped doing the picture thing with the crayons and written out, hey, I saw 2 cars and I'm super scared and I don't know if it actually happened, but this is what it happened. And he was wearing a yellow suit. He was normal at first, but because he didn't do that, we keep waiting on him to give us the info. Ethan knows how to write. He could do it too. So I just thought that was an excellent observation of yours.
Yeah, no, that is interesting. And that's very interesting. Why not just write it all down? Really, a lot easier to read, a lot easier for future kind of cycles to interpret your work and be able to know exactly what they're up against. But yeah, we keep going back to this pictographic form of storytelling, these hieroglyphics, in a sense. Yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why we see Ethan and Victor continue to draw. I like it. Yeah, I thought this episode was pretty good just on first glance. I feel like, yes, I mean, we got some good character development. We did a little bit of plot development. We got some, the plot did move a little bit in terms of moving closer and closer towards the ultimate goal of heading down into these tunnels and trying to find the bones. But I did see someone say in the chat that it took Jade a whole episode just to realize he needed to dig a hole. And I do kind of agree with that sentiment to a certain extent. I think it was you, David, and I think I agree with you to a certain extent. I mean, and we are seeing a little bit more of that this season, where it is taking a very long time, narratively wise, for characters to get to pretty simple answers that probably could have happened a lot sooner. And at times it does make you seem like they're kind of maybe stretching the episodes out a little bit. But again, I think we're finally getting to the meat of it now. I think we're finally getting to, the revelations now, and hopefully, something really big around the corner over these next 2 episodes to give us something definitive to really chew on while we wait for season 5 to eventually get here. But again, it feels like right now it's finally starting to ramp up. But it did take a while to get here. The season did drag a little bit at times. Even when it was quote unquote dragging, we were still getting good character development. We were still getting some good writing and good scenes, and the story was moving forward. But yeah, there were some things that could have been sped up a little bit here and there. So I definitely agree with that criticism to a certain extent in some areas. But yeah, again, I think if these final 2 episodes are really, really good, if they finish the season off on a really, really high note, I think that's going to be a major positive heading into season 5. And will give us as fans, something really kind of juicy, really definitive to kind of chew on while we wait for the next season.
Yeah. Well, you said David said that, right? David, I respectfully disagree, David. When it comes to Jade has been working with those bottle trays for a while. Tabitha uses those bottle trays to travel. So for him to get to the point where he's like, okay, I'm going to uproot the tree, dig it up like a cork, and this is how we're going to do it. I think that that wasn't an easy decision to make. I don't think it was as easy to come to that conclusion
Mhm.
because I myself, I'm nervous about them doing that. I don't know if that's the right answer.
I don't think it's
I
going to be a good
don't
idea.
know.
Yeah,
It gives me a bad vibe because
very.
you use this tree to get the numbers to get the answers for the children.
It's a
You
magical
are
thing.
told that it was the hope that made the branches and then made the tree. And now,
Mhm.
in order to save the children, you want to destroy what gave them hope. I'm nervous about it. So,
Yeah.
coming to that conclusion, I don't think it was as easy as, yeah, let's just pop this tree right out.
Well,
I
that's the
would be
thing. I don't.
wondering what is going to happen. I don't know. Let's think this through. Are
Well,
the
and
children going to get pissed off? Am I going to like hurt the children more than I'm helping the children?
Mhm. Well, and that's the thing. I don't think Jade's even considering that, or at least it doesn't seem like Jade is even really considering the ramifications of what this could do. And he very well should be if he's not. Like if he's not, if that hasn't crossed his mind that this is literally a magical freaking tree that was up until this point we've been led to believe is going to be very important. Maybe yanking it out by the roots is something you should consider a little bit more before just diving into that kind of thing. But it doesn't seem like Jade is considering that. It seems like Jade has kind of committed himself to doing whatever is necessary to achieving this. So much to the point where I don't even think he's thinking about the consequences of what this could unleash, what this could potentially do. But I think he will now. Now, after this run-in that Tabitha had with the man in yellow, maybe we will see Tabitha try and stop Jade from pulling this tree out. I have to imagine she probably will. Tabitha knows the importance of this tree. I mean, or at least, she knows that it was important, at least upon a time. When she finds out about Jade's plan to yank it out by the roots, I have to imagine Tabitha is going to have some kind of objection.
Yeah, I just think it was a harder conclusion to come to.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh,
Jay does this sort of thing. He does this like destroying talismans and important symbols
yeah.
nilly willy. Like he did that with the totems. When Christy needed help, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna, Dell said, yeah, go ahead and destroy the ancient tower of like magic.
Holy shit.
He just
yeah.
pulled it out from the ground,
That's what I'm
from the
saying, he
ground
doesn't
and used
think,
it as a tool.
He doesn't
So
think.
that kind of mirrors what he's doing right now. He's
Exactly.
thinking, let's just plug this thing out of
Just
the ground and use
fucking
it as
do
a
it.
tool. It's like, Jade, you've been there, done that. What
Jade,
happened last time you did this with the totems?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's like he's not, thinking about what the ramifications of this could do. He's just, all right, let's fucking do this. Let's yank this fucking thing out of the ground. And let's get them bones. Not really stopping to consider what this could really, really do. The ramifications of cutting down this magical, seemingly important tree. But again, that's Jade. He kind of rushes into things. He gets an idea in his head. He feels like it's the right idea, and he's doing anything he can to execute this idea. And again, I think Jade is in a bit of a different mindset right now than he was in previous seasons, where he does seem like he's willing to sacrifice anything and maybe even anyone to achieve this. And I think that's why we hear him say that at the end of the episode. Maybe that's why no one has ever completed this. Maybe that's why no one's ever gone home, because no one's been able to make these tough choices before. But Jade seems bound and determined to not have a problem making these tough choices, which includes apparently yanking out the fucking faraway tree from the roots without even thinking about what it could do. So yeah, I think this is going to be interesting to see where this goes. For me, the Jade Boyd storyline has been the most interesting one in season 4 so far, by far. But yeah, I think this is going to be interesting to see where it goes. And of course, what is Tabitha's reaction going to be to this ultimately? I don't know. Again, I think we're hopefully heading for 2 explosive episodes to end the season on.
Yeah. And, I would like to give Jade an answer, right? As to
Mhm.
why he's thinking that this might be a good idea. It's a
Mhm.
hard decision to make for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that he's thinking that this might be a good idea the same way that Boyd thought, let's use a totem to try to kill a monster.
Yeah.
Even though I know Fatima just gave birth to one of these when we killed them.
Still worth
I
the
think
risk.
that both of them are thinking time is of the essence. If I can get this done tonight and save everybody. By tomorrow, we are gone. There's not enough time for Fatima to give birth to a baby monster.
Yep.
If I figure out that these totems work to kill them all, we will get home. We'll be able to be home by the time that she has to pay the consequences. You will not be there to pay the price, basically. And I think that maybe Jade is thinking the same thing. He's thinking, hey, we get the bones, we pop the tree out, we bury the bones right there the same day, and we get to go home. We're not even going to be here by nighttime. We're not going to be here to pay the bill, the consequences of doing away with the tree. So when they're thinking in that way, I could see why they would take risk and why Boyd would be like,
yeah,
I'm not even, if this works, Fatima's not even going to experience this again because she's not going to be here, you know?
Yeah. No, I could totally see that. Again, you know, sometimes you have to kind of weigh that risk and reward and be willing to risk that risk if you want to get that reward. Boyd was willing to do it. And yeah, I very much think Jade is willing to risk that as well. Absolutely. And again, I think that's why this makes for me, this makes one of the more intriguing storylines heading into these final 2 episodes. How is this really going to play out? Will Jade really pop the fucking cork on? And I thought it was very interesting how he used that phrase, pop like a cork. What do corks do? They keep things at bay. They keep things inside. When you uncork something, that is metaphorically letting something out. So I'm not sure this bodes very well. I'm not sure releasing this faraway tree, popping it like a cork, is going to be the best decision in the long run. But again, you have to weigh that risk versus reward. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this is going to go. And if they do pop this freaking tree open, what could it potentially unleash with it, I guess is my question. But yeah, this was a fun episode. Again, a lot more to unpack. I know we haven't covered anything. We've scratched the surface of a lot of the main points of the episode, but we will definitely continue to talk about this throughout the week and do some more streams on it. But overall, for an episode 8, we always love to hear from you guys in the chat and for you as well, PM. On a scale from 1 to 10, after just watching this episode, where would you guys rank episode 8 of season 4 of From on 1 to 10, with 1 being horrible and 10 being perfect? PM, do you have a score for this episode?
Yes, I'm thinking 8.85.
Oh, okay. Nice.
I think it was an amazing episode. It was long. I like a long episode, right? I prefer a long episode than a short one.
Yeah.
A lot was happening. We got the man in yellow back as cheeky as ever. He was fun. It was entertaining, and we got some answers. In fact, there's so much that happened that no, we didn't cover it all, and I'm gonna go back and watch it 500 times. We didn't even cover Christy fighting with Mariel, saying that was an inappropriate time, and she is my patient. I was like, damn, we were just talking about the ego and Christy. Yep. We literally were just talking about why is she acting this way. There's this ego of like not letting Mariel have her own opinion. And then she uses, she's my patient. Like, this is my place to begin with. Yeah. So you don't get an opinion. You don't get to tell me how to do it because guess what? It's my place. It's my dominion. Yeah. That was super rude. That was super rude of her. And that's all ego. It's like, how is Mariel going to work with you and help you when you do need the help medically, when you're telling her those are my patients? Yeah. If I was Mariel, I would be like, you know what, Christy, fuck you. Those are your patients. Next time you have an emergency, go take care of all of them.
Next time you have an emergency, those are your patients, I thought. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, this is your place, right? This is not mine.
Those are my patients, you said. But no, I get it. Yeah, and I agree. I feel like Christy it definitely seems like she's, not really enjoying not being kind of in on the inner circle and all of this. Yeah, again, she's going through it. She's not adjusting very well, for sure. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. We got a 6 in the chat from Bruns. We got an 8 in the chat. Awesome. We got another 8 out of 10. We got a 6 out of 10, 6.5. Good episode. Too much time was spent on Fatima/Ellis and Christy Mariel fighting scenes that I don't really care about anymore. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, sometimes we have some storylines in some of these shows that we're not like super thrilled about. And yeah, sometimes when those storylines get what we feel is a little too much screen time, it can take away from, the scenes that you really want to see. So I totally understand that. Nothing wrong with that. I think that's a fair criticism for any fan to have. We got a 9.5 from BG. 9.5, awesome. We got a 6 from Ram C. We got an 8.3 from Tim. We got a 7.5 from David. We got an 8 from Blitzkrieg because Tabitha keeps screwing up simple common sense. I mean, you ain't wrong. You are not wrong.
She's so frustrating. I swear to God, Victor became courageous, and he's like my favorite. I'm so proud of Victor.
I'm so proud of him. Yeah.
Instead of him being the frustrating character, now it's Tabitha. Now it's Tabitha that I want to just like attack.
Yeah.
Like, Tabitha, get with it. You're
Get with it,
fucking lying right now. You're lying. And you know it because you told the wig that this was true. And also, I would have given it a 9, but no wig. We didn't get to see the wig.
No
And
wig.
that's my favorite character. So yeah, they don't get a 9. They get an 8.85 until I see that wig.
Yeah. I mean, this is very true. We did not see the wig tonight. We did not see the wig. One place that you can see some wig action, though, the Discord has been cooking up some more wig action, and this is some of the latest ones that we saw.
Ah. Oh my gosh. Let me see. Can you zoom in on her face? Is her face still like
that's as close as I can go. It's that same face, though. Yeah, that same fucking like face.
I love that.
So that was one of the new ones. Her wig has certainly grown. There's this one as well.
On the faraway tree, the faraway wig. Oh, that's from our stream. The faraway wig.
The faraway wig.
I love that
So
one.
these are,
I love how Tabitha and Victor are looking at it
They're
like,
looking
what?
up at it, like just mesmerized. Yeah. Like, oh my god. So these were great. These were 2 awesome ones that I noticed in the Discord today. So yeah, keep them coming, guys. We love the wig memes, not just the wig memes, just from memes in general. Any kind of from meme, especially pertaining to the episode and stuff that we talk about here on the show, the jokes that we make, like the faraway wig. This was great. This was hilarious to see. Yeah, is that the final boss, the Reddit leak?
Is this a leak? The faraway wig is the ultimate power.
Yep. The final boss, the faraway wig. But yeah, no, I thought that was funny. I thought that was really good. Good stuff, guys. You guys have been killing it with the.
Somebody put it on Boyd, and that one was pretty good. I was like, wait, then, and it's fitting. It actually looks hilarious. They put it on the picture where he is fighting everybody at the diner in that meeting and screaming at them. So he's angry and he's wearing the wig.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have been killing it. You guys have been the creativity. That's what's so fun about the memes. Like, yes, it's nice seeing the little Easter eggs you guys throw in these memes that pertain to some of the stuff we talk about, but the creativity, you guys are so fucking creative with some of these memes you come up with. And that's what I love the most about it, seeing the creativity in the chat. You guys are fucking mad lads and mad ladies. Love it. We got Michelle Withers, who gave it a 9. Awesome. We got an 8.5, another 8.5. We got a 6 to 7. Okay, not bad. Not a bad score. Awesome stuff, guys. So it seems like we have a pretty wide variety of scores, from some 6s and some 7s to all the way up to some 8s and 9s. For me, just on first glance, again, I liked some of the answers that we got in this episode. I like some of the character development we got, especially with Victor and Boyd, Jade. We got some really good character growth, I guess you could say, in this episode. Characters coming to certain realizations. So for me, I'm going to give it an 8. A solid 8 for me. I thought this was a really fun episode. I enjoyed it. As you said, PM, it was nice to have a little bit of a longer episode, closer to that 1 hour mark, which is a lot better, just more enjoyable, get a little bit more bang for your buck. So for me, I give it a solid 8. A solid 8 out of 10. But who knows? That might go up or it might go down after I watch it a few more times. But for now, solid 8. I enjoyed it for the most part.
I see a 10. That's very exciting. I'm glad to see a 10. Haven't seen much of those in this season.
Not as many 10s this season as compared to previous seasons. That is very true. Very true. But yeah, again, final 2 episodes got now, guys. We are in the home stretch, and of course I will have the episode 9 trailer up on the channel tomorrow as soon as it premieres. It premieres on Sunday night at around 10 p.m. Eastern. So tomorrow, after that is up, I will upload the trailer for episode 9 so we can see where this thing is going to be going next. I am also going to work on another episode 8 breakdown to dive into some of the aspects that we've seen in the episode, because I know we've barely scratched the surface of everything we saw in the episode. So we'll probably do another stream at some point as well, where PM and I can continue to dive in, and Raven and I will be live later on in the week as well. So we'll continue to break this thing down, see what else we can see as we head into these final 2 episodes of From. Only 2 left, PM. You ready?
Only 2 left, and I will not be here tomorrow. Remember, Jeremy? It'll
Tomorrow-
be you and the chat.
Tomorrow
right?
there is no From stream. I don't think I'm doing a From stream tomorrow. I think tomorrow is going to be the first House of the Dragon stream that we're going to do. Just because I figured you're not going to be here tomorrow. I remember you telling me that. And I figured we talked about it tonight too. So we'll probably do, if you want, we can do something on Monday night when you come back if you want. But I think tomorrow night I might do the first House of the Dragon season 3 stream. Because House of the Dragon, I keep forgetting about it, but it is right around the freaking corner. House of the Dragon season 3 is creeping up on us. And I have not really done my due diligence yet in terms of breaking down enough of the trailers and stuff yet. So I think I might do the first season 3 House of the Dragon stream tomorrow night. So yeah. Because again, House of the Dragon is right around the corner. After From ends, we'll be going right into that. We'll continue to talk From after From is over. Well, after From is over, we always like to keep a foothold in the From fandom. We usually do From streams year round. But House of the Dragon is definitely something we're going to be covering as well once it starts in a few weeks. So yes, tomorrow night I think I'm going to do a House of the Dragon season 3 stream, first one of the year. So I'm a little excited about that. I'm excited to talk some Westeros again.
Yay.
Yes.
I did want to
And
touch
Silo,
on
yes. Silo too.
we
will definitely cover
missed
Silo.
Guns N' Roses. We missed this. So there was something in the episode. I think we fast forwarded through that, Jeremy.
Mhm.
I think we kind of got a hint as to who's gonna figure Sophia out. She
Mhm.
goes over there to Colony House, and Boyd and Donna are having a conversation, and they're asking about this, what happened through the night. And
Mhm.
she goes, "So they didn't work?" And Boyd looks at her and screams, "Excuse me?" Like, he doesn't talk to people that way. He has never talked to her that way, but he looked at her, and then Donna looked at her, and she's like, "Yeah, the totems, they didn't work. That's too
Mhm.
bad, right?" She's like, "Oh, that's too bad, right?" But
Mhm.
he screamed at her, like, first of all, why the hell are you right here in back of me where I can't see you listening in? I think that was an indication that he's already thinking, "Excuse me? Like, why are you asking?
Why
This
are you
is very
asking all these
fishy."
questions? Like, she's asking
Mhm.
so many questions, this Sophia character. Yeah, is he already a little suspicious, maybe?
The way that he talked to her, he does not talk to her that way. He's always like happy to give her information and gives the information with a happy smile. But this time he was suspicious. Like, excuse me? Like, where do you
Mhm.
come in on this conversation?
Interesting. Yeah. Very
And
interesting.
Sarah, yes. So the whole backpack, she goes and she takes the Men in Yellow suit, puts it in that backpack. Then she goes over to Sarah, and Sarah says, "Hey, what's in that bag?" Sarah clocks it. She knows. I
she
think
knew
that Sarah
something's up.
already knows there's something weird about this
Something's up
girl.
with you. Yeah. And she even
So she's
points
like,
out, you're handling this a lot better than I did when I first arrived. Like,
"Oh yeah."
they're starting to
Sarah's
notice.
watching.
They're
She's
starting
watching. She's starting to notice.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. She goes, "Oh, it's just clothes." And
Yeah.
as soon as she starts asking questions, like, "Where were you last night?" And
Yeah.
all of this,
She's gonna get
she
tripped
did the
up.
one thing that I hate when people do this. When I saw that she did that, I was like, "God damn it. I hate people who do this." So as soon as she started asking her the question about the bag, what's in the bag, she played victim.
Yeah.
Then I started to remember. She's a great actress.
Crying, turning
A
on the
great actress. She's like,
water.
"I started to remember that this is dead people's clothes. I'm not doing so
She did
well."
good.
I'm not
was
doing
good.
so well. She's a great actress. I'm not
She
doing
was
so
good.
well. So Sarah immediately, she's like, oh, I have to be
Mhm.
sensitive. So immediately she caters to her. She's like, okay, come in, and the questions stop. I hate when people do this. If I was Sarah, I would be like, listen, we
Oh,
will get to your
pressing her.
victimhood
No,
in a
what's going on?
minute. Answer
Show
the
me what's in that
question.
bag. I want to see what's
Answer
in
the
that fucking
question,
bag.
and then we'll get to your victimhood. Then you
Yeah.
could boo-hoo cry about your life. Answer
Mhm.
the question. Show me the bag.
Yeah.
And also, you're crying about the clothes. You're saying, oh, I remember it was dead people, but you have it in a bag. So that doesn't make sense to begin with. You have clothes in the bag, but you're saying you remember when you were looking at it that it was dead people's clothes, and then
Yeah.
you didn't want it. So why didn't you bring it home? Because you're dressed in the same little yellow dress. So she's not making sense. And in order to kind of maneuver that and have Sarah not pay attention, she
She
plays
plays
victim.
victim. Yeah, she turns on the waterworks.
Yeah.
Whenever someone is looking at you suspiciously, it's almost like she instantly starts throwing on the sympathetic card. Like, oh shit, they're starting to get suspicious of me. I need to change up my tactic. I need to make them see me as a sympathetic creature. And she did. I got to hand it to her. She successfully kind of pulled herself out of that nosedive there for a minute. Because it did seem like Sarah was smelling a little bit of the bullshit there for a second.
Yeah.
And yeah, she is technically wearing a dead person's glasses as we speak. But yeah, she has a
Dude,
problem with clothes.
thank you so much for bringing this up,
Good point.
because
Very good point.
Sarah can clock her. Okay. Next episode, if Sarah is smart and she starts thinking about,
Really
hey,
keeping an
things
eye
are
on
not
her.
adding up,
Yeah.
who went with her to look at the stuff that is left behind? Sarah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Sarah saw her in that room, and she wasn't crying. She wasn't upset that was dead people's clothes. She asked Sarah, is this all from people that died? And Sarah unfortunately said, yes. And what did she say? She says, it's kind of nice.
Like a part of
It's
them
kind of
still here.
nice because it's
Yeah.
like a part of them is still here. She wasn't crying. She didn't say this is a bad thing. She did her Sophia
Inconsistencies.
stuff where she says, oh, this is kind of nice. This is perfect. And she's
Mhm.
trying on glasses and having the best time of her life. So
Yeah.
if I was Sarah, I would be like, that is such bullshit.
This is sus.
You're the one that told me that all this stuff being here is great, that
Yeah.
it's nice that it was here. And you had no problem getting, the stuff that you have now to begin with. You were
Yeah.
happy trying things on, looking
Yeah.
through, perusing like it was a store. So already she's not making sense. I hope that Sarah remembers that and remembers what she said. Hey, this is nice. So if it's nice, suddenly you remember that it's dead people's things and suddenly you're not doing well. Can't stand her.
Mhm.
But she's doing an amazing job. If you can't stand her, it's because she's doing she's killing it, the actress, because
She's doing
this is
good.
what she's supposed to evoke in you. She's supposed to evoke
I
this, like,
Yeah. It's
anger.
like, oh yeah. I mean, when you don't like a villain, that means the villain is doing a good job. Absolutely. And I will say this: like, I wasn't liking Sophia's arc during the first half of the season, but I think it's gotten so much better in the second half of the season. Not just the arc, but her performance as an actress as well has really stepped up over these last few episodes. Now that they've actually given her something to like really do. So yeah, I think the second half of the season, Sophia, has been a lot more entertaining than the first half. But we got Real Cinema Therapy in the house. Welcome, Real Cinema Therapy. Jeremy and PM, question. Do you think Sophia can change her clothes? Would that change her ability to stay as Sophia? I mean, that is something interesting that a lot of the fandom has been, wondering and theorizing on in terms of, is it the clothes that gives her the ability to turn into certain people? Like in this episode, we see her specifically go back into the police station, grab the suit, her man in yellow suit, and then boom, turns back into the man in yellow. Did she need that suit in order to turn into the man in yellow? I guess is the question. Maybe she does. Maybe there is something a little bit more to the clothes being tied to the certain person's identity. Maybe, I don't know. But if Sophia changes her clothes, does that mean her personality will change? Will she change into another person? I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, it's a very good question. How deeply are the clothes tied to her kind of personalities that she wears?
Mhm.
And can she?
So would you say yes or no?
I think she could probably change her clothes. Yeah, I think for some reason she can probably change her clothes. But
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Because it was interesting that she got that suit. It's like, why do you
It
need
was kind of
it?
interesting. Like she maybe needed the suit to turn into the man in yellow.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, hi, Real Cinema Therapy. I love your channel. I believe we have the answer because we saw it on screen. When Men in Yellow turns into Sophia, it becomes Sophia. Like physically, we see her hair growing, and we see that the Men in Yellow is naked.
Seems to
And
be
then
so
it
naked.
grabs the dress, and then it puts on the dress. So
Yeah.
it seems like this person is able to transform without clothes. In fact, it does it naked. It does it naked. It doesn't put on the clothes and then transform. It transforms and then clothes itself. I believe that the reason why it needed to get that suit instead of what Sophia was wearing is because if he shows up to Tabitha, you have that
You
picture,
can't just
Jeremy.
wear a dress,
He
right?
shows
Like,
up to Tabitha wearing a dress.
just wear a dress.
Tabitha's gonna clock her. She's gonna be like, "Oh wait, that's Sophia's dress."
So
Right?
weird.
She can't show up like that, right? So you have to think about, well, what can I wear? What can I wear?
We can't
That
have him
one.
showing up like this, can we?
Right? You can't show up in the
Not
dress. So
everybody
I think
can
maybe
show
that's
up
why
like
it went
this.
back and got the suit. Not necessarily that it needs it to become the Men in Yellow.
Yeah, but it's part of the
But
disguise. Yeah.
he needs some clothes. He needs some clothes because he knows I'm gonna end up naked. This is how it works. I transform naked. I don't transform
Yeah.
with clothing. I think that's what he did. But it's fun to think
It is.
just transform into Doug in the dress.
Just waltzing around in the fucking dress. Walking. I don't know. Something about that end scene we get at the end of this episode wouldn't have kind of landed quite as well if Doug was dressed like this in that final scene. I don't think it would have struck that much fear into the heart of Tabitha seeing this image here. But yeah, maybe it's just a part of completing the disguise, having the necessary attire to complete the disguise. But that doesn't necessarily mean he has to have the clothes to turn into that person. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we got Randall as well. Jesus. But yeah, again, very interesting question. Very interesting. Again, we got some nice reveals that definitely confirm some pretty cool fan theories that a lot of you and us have been talking about for a pretty while. And we also have some new areas I feel that we can start theorizing in going forward now that we do have some new data points that are definitive. Like, for instance, we got confirmation of something we were thinking was probably the case, that this Jade and this Tabitha have gone further than any of the previous Jades and any of the previous Tabithas. And here we learn that that is very much the truth. And it seems like that fact is intriguing the Man in Yellow to a certain degree. He almost seems excited at the notion of maybe not knowing what's coming around the corner for the first time. So I think we're heading into some interesting some interesting territory. And yeah, I guess it'll be fun to see where these final 2 episodes are going to lead us. What other revelations are in store? I have to imagine there's probably still at least 1 or 2 probably big twists that they have in store for us before the season ends, to give us something pretty big to chew on while we head into season 5. But yeah, here we go, folks. Final 2 episodes. And the episode 9 trailer will be out tomorrow. They usually don't drop the trailer. The trailer only plays on the actual MGM TV channel on Sunday nights when they air the new episodes on the actual TV channel. So tomorrow night, the episode 9 trailer will be out, and I will have it up on the channel like I have for all of the previous trailers. So tomorrow night, little after 10 p.m. Eastern, it should be up on the channel. But yeah, there we go, folks. Final 2 episodes. Here we go. But that is going to do it for us on this fine evening. And if you guys have not already, get over there and subscribe to PM Philosophy's channel as well. The link to her channel is in the description below. And if you guys have not joined the Discord as well, hop on into the Discord and join us for the final 2 watch parties of the season 4 season over the next couple weeks. Couple more weeks, guys. The final 2 episodes. We are in the home stretch now. And yeah, we will see what is in store. But big thank you to each and every one of you, and a huge thank you to my awesome co-host PM for joining me. And PM, I guess we'll see everybody on the next one. We still got a lot more to unpack.
Yeah.
We barely scratched the surface.
This might need I hate that I'm gonna miss, the second stream because
Well, I'm
we
not doing
really
one
do
tomorrow.
need,
Tomorrow I'm
yeah, we
doing House
really
of the
need a
Dragon
couple
stream.
hours.
I'm doing a House of the Dragon stream tomorrow night because you're not going to be here. But maybe Monday night we can do a part 2, you and I, and we'll dive deeper after everybody
I
have had
think
a
we're
chance to
gonna
watch
need
it
it.
again. Yeah, we'll do a part 2. Hell yeah.
We really need to talk about this episode. We got so many things. It's a really interesting one. Um, I can't believe we only have 2 more episodes.
know.
And after 2 more episodes, I'm gonna miss all of you guys. My time with you has gone by so quickly. And
Season
then we're
5.
back to darkness. We're back to No From. And I know that we complained a lot about the season.
But we love
But
it.
I
Yeah.
still miss it. Hey, a
Yeah.
little something is better than nothing.
Yeah. No, again, it's we waited so long for From to come around, and you have super high expectations heading into the final 2 seasons, expecting things to really start to pick up, and they are for the most part. But yeah, there's also nothing wrong with certain storylines maybe not resonating with you along the way, as a fan, not just us but anyone, and that's okay. That is okay. But we do love it. At the end of the day, we love From. We love talking about it. We love diving into it. We love hearing from all of you guys, hearing your thoughts, your theories, and we will continue to do so. We will continue to dive head first into all of the craziness as we dive into these final 2 episodes and beyond. I'm sure we'll have plenty to discuss in the off season while we wait for season 5. But yeah, there we go, folks. That's going to do it for us this evening. And again, tomorrow night, I'm going to be doing PM won't be able to join me. So instead of doing a From stream tomorrow night, I will be doing a House of the Dragon season 3 stream tomorrow night. And then Monday, PM and I will be back here for a part 2 of our episode 8 breakdown and discussion. And by then, I'm sure we'll probably have had a chance to watch the episode a few more times and find even more interesting things that we'll be discussing, I'm sure. But yeah, that is going to do it for us this evening, ladies and gents. Big thank you to each and every one of you. Huge thank you to everybody who sent in super chats tonight. Cannot thank you all enough. And we will see all of you guys on the next one. Cheers.
Okay, ding dongs. If you don't subscribe to Jeremy Eyes and Fire, you're gonna spend the night in the box.
Aunt Cooey.